summer.
It's summer. The summer's ending. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay. It's been like really hot, so I'm actually kind of
like, okay, let's calm down, summer. Let's do a chill.
Yeah.
That is a nice threesome going on with what looks like a Zelda monster. Okay. That's what that is.
What?
Some people, it crosses your feed and you look at it and you go, yeah, you're definitely the person that liked that. Yep. I can predict it. I can look at it. I can look at the activity feed and I don't even have to guess. Hey, who liked that one? Oh, I know who that was. It's feed. It was Rhett.
What?
Yeah. I've seen it. Don't worry. It's okay. No judging. It's fine.
My who retweeted that Twitter game has gotten harder now because I'll be scrolling. Twitter's dumb. Why do you scroll up from the bottom? Like, I feel like tweets should appear at the bottom and the up end of the whole thing. But anyways, I'll see the bottom of a picture, and it'll be someone from Licorice Recoil, and I'll have like a 1 in 4 chance of guessing who retweeted it.
That one's tough right now. That one, but like
even John has become one of them, and I'm like, jeez.
I just guess John most of the time, and I've got about a 50% chance of getting it right.
I've got like, there's the Yuri guy, there's John, there's like the Genshin Impact guy is also doing Licorice Recoil. It's just like, it's everywhere. I looked at my Tumblr for the first time in like a couple months. Mm-hmm. And I just have all the same accounts followed from The Purge back in the day. And the second post was Licorice Recoil. And I'm just like, yeah, that tracks.
I can't wait to watch that show and it not actually have any Yuri in it whatsoever. Because I know nothing about it. And I know that people just love to overplay this shit with their shipping. Oh, yeah. And it's just like, I can't wait till like literally nothing happens.
Oh, I don't expect anything to happen.
Or that the show is literally not that. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for.
I mean, even if it's not, I've got mountains and mountains of fan art.
Yeah. It's on my to-watch list, so hey, I'll get around to it.
I'll wait and see if y'all like it.
There you go. You'll just keep making your own alternate universe.
One anime expert I listened to called the show like calculated. Like, they took everything otaku like and put it in the blender.
Oh, no. This sounds like me poison.
So we'll see.
Life is good.
It can be. It can be.
I'm coming through clearly, right? I'm not using
you're fine. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, okay.
Popping a cold one.
Louder, right?
You were popping a cold one. What it sounded like.
That was a snap.
Okay. Oh, it sounded like you were just popping a cold one.
Just popping a cold one with the boys.
Casual. I mean, I'm going to halfway through the show. I'm just going to go grab a big old beer and crank it on back for the second half of the show. Why not?
Oh, got a plot twist. Not a plot twist. Got a live tweet that was like, I don't know about this after watching episode 12.
Oh no!
What? We shall see.
Well then. That's interesting.
It doesn't matter. It could be.
It could literally be anything. No, see, this person's just mad. That their ship wasn't the right one or something. That's usually how that shit always is. It's like how you're gonna tell me "Darling in the Franxx" is, the hottest fucking LGBT, the hottest fucking LGBT fucking trans show on the planet. "Darling in the fucking Franxx," okay. Oh my god, anime fans, what is your problem, please?
This is why I'm not in any communities. I watch from afar.
Send an email to polly@socksmakepeoplesexy.net and explain to me how Darling in the Franxx is the #1 fucking best goddamn LGBT pro-trans fucking show. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's literally like, I swear, Shinzo Abe literally probably produced that shit. Yeah, I'm sure it's definitely LGBT friendly.
It wasn't until you got mad about that I actually realized that the that the thing in the title is to have XX
Yes!
in the title.
Yes!
It's very,
fuck.
yeah.
It's very on the fucking nose! Like, I'm
Christ
fine,
alive.
like, if you're too dumb to get the point of a show, but it's like rewriting it in your brain and then going to Twitter and proclaiming your read, which is so fucking off the mark. To just be like, this is the read right here, everybody. About to make myself look like a fucking doofus. Let's go, Darling in the Franxx, #1 LGBT show on the planet. Don't know why I chose that to be upset about, but it's good energy going into Sockscast episode 60, where I make fun of all of your anime opinions. That should be a thing. Where, like, I wish I would, as an affiliate, I wish I still had channel redeems so I could just have one that's like, I will review the anime you tell me to review, and even if I don't know anything about it, I'll just kind of like look at the Mal page, absorb it a little bit, and make my own review of it, regardless of if I've seen it or not.
I think John has some practice with that. You could ask him later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You want, like, if there's anybody that is real good at reviewing shit sight unseen and just being so fucking
making
earnest,
fan content.
just earnest about it. No better choice than John. No better choice than John on that one.
He looked at the Mal page, but it was a fake edit that I did.
Oh,
I did not actually read the real Mal page.
Yeah. So here we are again, once again, again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's kind of like the lyrics to an Alice in Chains song called "Again." By the way, yeah, the chorus goes again and again and again and again and again and again.
Nailed it.
I did. I was a very good Lane Staley.
We need an instrumental now to put over that.
I fucking dare you. It wasn't on time, so you'd have to quantize it and make it.
Damn it.
Yeah. I purposefully did it out of rhythm. Oh, but hey, welcome to a podcast. We're here, and as always, I've got two numbnuts with me. To my immediate virtual right, hey Rhett.
Okay.
In what way are you like Contra 3?
I actually want to think about this.
Okay.
I have 3 difficulty modes, and the last one is actually pretty hard.
That's you know what? That's a solid guess. But I was going to say to get the true ending, you got to play on hard.
Okay, we were kind of going in the same direction.
You were in the right direction there. Yeah, like all those Konami games of that time. Can only get the true ending on hard mode. I went with Contra 3 because I don't know, like, who out there has, like, not everybody's heard of Axelay, and since we've got like thousands of people downloading this a week.
There's a true ending in Axelay?
Yeah, I don't think you get the actual ending on normal.
I think there's a tiny little extra fight at the end. I think Rocket Knight Adventure does the same thing. That was definitely their
fight. Axelay's ending is already so much.
I know that, like, Contra 3 just straight up is like, hey, go play on hard mode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of
blatant.
Konami games at the time did that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And to my immediate virtual left, Mr. Dabalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina, it's John Thayer.
That's me.
That is you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well today.
Doing all right.
Like a long walk. I finished a game yesterday, so I just feel like complete. I finished a creative project, so now I just feel like complete spiritual freedom and release of like, oh, okay, because I actually did kind of just hammer at it for like 2 weekends in a row.
Oh, yeah.
And I was starting to get a little worn out. Now I'm like, yes.
I got started on my next game release.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I started on that last week. I sent an early alpha out to some folks, got some feedback, took the feedback, and I know where I want to go with it from now. Yeah. And the best thing about it is like usually when I'm making games, like I feel like I've got to just stick with it. Like just hammer on that shit, because I feel like at any point that creative energy is just going to slide right through your fingers, right? Yeah. And because that happened with ASDF and it happened with Luigi, so that's why those games got made in like 2 and 4 days. Because I was like, if I don't do this now, But the new one, it's like, you know what? I feel like I can relax on this because I feel like the vision is strong. Like the way that the game feels is strong. I know exactly what I want to do with it. And it's also one of those games where it's like, all right, I got to make a lot of assets for this, don't I? Man.
Oh God, hell.
Yeah, asset hell is the word. It's like, and even though it's just like, it's just, cool, I gotta go steal a bunch of sprites from shit. It's like having to sit down and make those sprites and then animate them and then get them into Game Maker and, you know, get all that image stuff working right, making sure all your facing and directional shit's working. Yeah, just doing all that can be a little bit, it's a little more involved, but like I said, like the vision's there, feeling good about it. Big, stupid shit post energy.
Good.
Yes.
It's that's where I thrive.
That's the only reason to make video games is to be.
It is. It is. Fuck making money. You don't need to make money. Make video games. Scope small. Make small, fun, dumb things that people can play in like 5 minutes, and they'll be like, "Hey, I smiled today." God.
I was at work the other day, and I had an idea, and I was like super like 10 out of 10 inspired, and kept thinking about it. By the end, I was just like, the scope got too big. Fuck this.
Oh, see, you didn't take John's advice. You should have bookmarked those tweets.
Just having it happen over the course of like 20 minutes was kind of ridiculous. Like, I had an idea for how to do it perfectly, and it's way too much work.
Ain't that always the worst? Ain't that always?
I feel that. Well, don't say that online because then people will yell at you.
People will yell at you. Like, what kind of fucking hack game developers are yelling at you for giving good advice? Give me their names. I'll name every single one of them. I'll name and shame every single one. Who the fuck am I? Why should anybody care? I'll do it anyway. I'll still say your name and call you a hack. But just know that, like, I'm fucking nobody, and it probably means nothing.
Game dev having a real one right now because GTA 6 leaking.
That's pretty funny.
And people are looking at the footage that's obviously like probably pre-alpha and being like, it doesn't look as good. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Some of the shit's not textured, you idiot.
Why does it look like a PS2 game? God, I fucking wonder why a game that is literally starting development might not look fucking AAA yet.
Like, they think graphics are like the first thing. When you can you can literally see AI routines on the screen.
Yeah, like you've got you've got AI routines literally crashing the whole time. That's my favorite. Just errors and crashes all over the place. And God, why isn't it great? Why isn't it the second coming? Like, fucking.
It's like, this is why like game development is super, super secret because people cannot stand how the sausage gets made.
No, like you cannot show people what a video game looks like mid-development because it's just like you will, like they will run to the hills. Like Kotaku will be posting articles about, wow, this game that's got $500 million behind it looks like crap right now, and it's been in development for 3 whole months.
God. Whereas like when a movie leaks, it's like, yep, that sure is the actor standing on a set, you know.
Yep, there sure is like no Foley work whatsoever.
But games have to be made from nothing.
Yeah.
So they look very fucking strange when in the middle.
Yeah. It's pretty weird. Oh God.
I liked seeing one thought I saw that was like gamers see developers as, instead of just yelling at them, work faster. They know they're not supposed to say that now. So now it's, why don't you just show us the game? As if the game is finished and the developer's job is to just withhold it
until the time is right.
Maliciously.
When God tells me that I can bless the earth with Call of Duty 7, that is when it will be out. Brett!
And not a second sooner.
Yeah?
What are you doing?
Oh, we're starting with me, huh?
We're starting with you. I mean, we don't have to.
No, we can just get these over with.
I like how you're making this sound like it's going to be... is there misery
I got some spice this week. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. You got some spice. We'll get some wolf, and it'll be a decent anime.
Did they announce a new season of that?
They did, I think. And then the writer did like World End Economica, which I don't think anybody read because it was a visual novel and nobody likes to read. You can't make people read. That's a bad idea.
Yeah. I finished Xenoblade 3.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's dive in.
This is a weird one where it's like I like this game, and it was profoundly disappointing.
Oh.
It's just a lot all at once. So it's like I wrote a mock up game of the year list already, and like this one could be near the top, and it could be near the bottom. There's like a big swing on how I'm feeling when that day comes.
Right.
Like me. That sounds like me thinking about Xenoblade X.
Which I believe did not make your top 10 at all.
It did not. That was the big swing.
I haven't played as many games this year, so it's probably going to be on there, and I did enjoy it, but okay. This is why I maybe didn't want to start. We've all played Xenoblade 1.
That's a good,
We've all played Xenoblade 1.
Damn
Everyone
video
here
game.
has played
Sockscast
Xenoblade 1.
approved.
Yeah,
it's true.
The very rare nowadays Sockscast approved
Yeah,
game.
it's pretty rare, isn't it?
Weirdos.
I had an idea of what happened at the end of that game. That is not the canon explanation anymore. My interpretation, I know I'm spoiling the end of Xenoblade 1 as delicately as I can right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
My interpretation of the end of Xenoblade 1 is that a new world was created.
Yeah.
And see, I thought John might agree with me because we both played the Wii version. Polly saying yeah is like, wait, what?
No,
because
I totally like that's the vibe I got from it.
Okay.
How was I? What else? What,
okay, no.
Okay.
Well, then what's future connected?
Boring.
But doesn't it take? Does future connected not take place on Bionis' the shoulder?
I don't even remember, honestly.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Because, like I said, like Future Connected just pissed me off. Like I came away from that game just immediately wanting to forget it because they could have done so much cool shit with Melia and they didn't do a fucking thing. And it's just like, hey, here's a monster of the week.
Okay.
They're like, that game is like that. Future Connected has literally been memory hold for just being fucking boring.
And that's the last thing they made before Xenoblade 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just kind of all in agreement then that the interpretation of Xenoblade 1 ending was that they made a new world.
Yes, that was my read on it.
Okay.
He explicitly says a world without gods.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just leave that there. When Xenoblade 2 came out, Nintendo was like, this isn't like a sequel to Xenoblade 1.
Yeah.
They were like, this is a new thing, don't worry about it. And after Xenoblade X, people believed it because Xenoblade X is its own thing. When Xenoblade 3 was coming out, they said, this is a sequel to 1 and 2. So I'm not going to go in further as to what that means, but if you've played 2, you certainly would have an idea. I think the connections to 1 and 2 that 3 has massively drag it down, and those expectations from what you'd have going into it after playing 2. Like, I feel like Xenoblade 3 would have been better as a standalone thing.
Without those connections. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is a little frustrating where there's points where, let's just say, fan service occurs, and I just immediately light up more. I'm like, ooh, now we're talking, and this realizing how much I'm uninterested in the Xenoblade 3 story side.
No.
Just feeling a little bad about that. I did mostly warm up on the combat. That was kind of my main gripe last time, was that I started playing on hard and it was obviously way too slow because it's like plus 50% enemy HP and I'm at the start of the game and you don't have nearly any of the abilities.
Yeah.
But then I played most of it on normal, but then I also got massively over leveled. Like, the main story quest enemies were 23 and I was 53.
That's a little excessive, Rhett.
That was so weird, Rhett.
It's like it's easier to break this one than any of the others. Like, I think the others.
Nah, definitive edition. You can literally just crank that down to casual and then roll up to enemies that are 40 levels higher than you and just power level your way like right at the start if you want.
Well, okay, if you put it on easy, then yes, you can break it.
Look, if you're changing difficulties to hard, I don't know why you can't make changing it to easy also an argument. Okay.
I'm saying I did go back to normal mode afterwards. I feel like that's the only one they really kind of balanced it for. But then Problem is like, it won't just be, oh, you're in a level, like the opening region, like level and 20 enemies. And then you'll be like, oh, there's level 30 enemies over here. And then there's level 40 enemies over here. Oh, there's level 50 enemies. Like I got all the way up to 80 in like the opening area. So it's like, because you're able to kind of incrementally fight stuff and keep exploring the world without progressing the main story, that's how I ended up way over leveled. Like I could have gone there were level 60 enemies. I could have gone beyond 53. And I was just like, this is getting a bit stupid, because at that point it would just be grinding for the sake of grinding. But then like I remained ahead of the leveling curve the entire rest of the game until the final boss. And I also, there's a mechanic in this one, bonus experience, where you level up characters at like the campfires. I stopped using that entirely once I like realized, oh, I'm 30 levels. That's bad. So even not using that whatsoever, by the end, I could have like popped another 12 levels onto my characters and gone from like 70 to 82, which at that point was, fighting level 70 enemies. It would have put me way ahead of them again.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, just to keep this remotely balanced, I had to just ignore this one mechanic entirely. And it's a little frustrating because I thought Xenoblade 1 was fun for me because it was kind of a slog of combat I didn't feel like I ever fully understood, and like
it's fucking hard.
It's fucking hard and confusing, and there's a lot in that one that isn't carried over, like the ether-based enemies or ether-based enemies that will aggro you and just.
I want ether-based enemies now.
Like there are more enemy variances that like sound-based attacks, or like not attacks, but like the way they aggro you.
Yeah.
Like everything in this game, if it sees you, it's either aggro or it's not.
They just that started with I think 2, because they just completely
2 definitely removed.
They completely removed like aggroing from sound or sight or like ether attacks, which I think sucks, because sometimes I don't want to fucking fight.
Yeah, I'm saying 1 was a pain in the ass in that way, but it had more character to it, I think.
Yeah.
Where 2 was a very easy anime game that you kind of didn't kind of brain your way through. But then 3 like made it even easier on normal, to where you can just over level it without really trying. Like if you do any quests, if you use the bonus experience, like, oh, now you're way ahead. And because of the whole 7 character combat, like you feel less in control of things than ever. Because 2 had a little more systems in place to control when your other characters were doing different attacks to keep the chains going. Like you could control that yourself. And in this one, like there's one option of like, which chain combo do you want to do, smash or burst? And that's about it.
Yeah, they kind of like it seems very similar to the first game, but a weird compromise with the way 2 works.
It's definitely in between those two. Yeah,
like it's an in between.
Way easier than either of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is a weird thought to have, but this one almost made me appreciate field skills being awful in 2.
No, get out. No, that can't be a valid.
Tell me.
That can't be a valid criticism.
Tell us.
I think this one does have a few skills that you can get, but they're like very like on off, like, oh, now you can run up sandy slopes. Now you can climb on walls, like kind of Neptunia stuff. Like very basic interactions. Once you're able to go everywhere, and when the combat's not that hard and you can kind of beat everything, there's just not a lot of texture to the world. Like there's no resistance. So I thought field skills, even though they were bad, even though it was like, why isn't my water level riding skill high enough for this bullshit? Like by not letting you 100% explore the world, like open worlds kind of become boring once you've seen everything. Sure. And it's easier to see everything in this one. Like it 2 kept more mystery hidden from you a little bit longer, I think, if that makes sense. Because a lot of those areas with the field checks, I just never went back to them. It's like, well, there's something up there, but I don't know what, That said, the implementation was fucking awful. Like it was, because it was a system that made me not want to explore the world and just mainline the story. But then maybe mainlining the story is the better play.
It's weird because in Xenoblade X, something I really liked about it, the field skills suck because they like block treasure chests, which is boring.
Yeah.
But the way that they block like traversal is just verticality. Like you'll have this big cliff, and to get up on top of it, you have to follow like this really winding path from way somewhere else. And like that was the kind of the resistance was in. And sometimes it's just you can't get up there until you get the upgraded mech, and then you can't get up there until you can fly. But with a lot of the times, there is a way up there, but you have to take a long way around. And I thought that was really cool. I really appreciated that.
There's some of that kind of stuff in this one. Like I did enjoy exploring the world. That's probably why I got so over leveled towards the start, is like I wasn't being grabbed by the story, but ooh, there's a tower over there. Let's go see what that is, that kind of stuff. But I also don't think it's like actually a super particularly interesting open world where you've kind of figured out what like the 5 types of collectibles there are. And you just repeat that the whole time, where it's like, oh, there's a treasure chest. Oh, there's a dead body. Like dead bodies become like kind of a collectible.
Yeah.
Because your characters, it's weird. Like your characters will play like the song to see them off, and they disappear in a ball of light. And then you get affinity points. Yay!
Trading human life for affinity points. This is what you're worth. You're worth.
It's a little weird being like,
you're worth 20 affinity points. Thanks for your service, friend.
But then a few times there's like mass graves, not graves, but like
God.
10. There'll be like 10 dead bodies all at once, and you'll play a song and you'll get 50 affinity.
Oh, jeez. An affinity in these games, like especially the first one, just feels stupid.
It's like it's obviously something the designer of these games, I don't know the names, are of. They really deeply care about.
They really thought that like I cared about any of the NPCs in that first game, and it's just like, nah, dog. I'd never looked at that affinity menu after the first time.
You can zoom out like the world map in this to the affinity chart and have a map of every single character in the game. Once again, it's all still here. Like that is a core tenet of Xenoblade.
Who does this? Who does this?
Well, when this game has like 190 side quests, maybe there are some people doing it. That's the other thing, is like a lot of people are like, well, I was disappointed about the ending, but the side quests that I did after beating the game, A+ stuff there. And I'm just like, I don't know. You fooled me once again. I haven't said I'm not going to play the Xenoblade 3 post game, but then I started Trails of Sky 4 or Trails of Cold Steel 4 and was like, yeah, I don't have time
I can
do both.
How about I play a good video game that I know isn't likely to disappoint me?
Maybe I'll get back to this side quest grinding later, because there is one thing I still want to see, because it involves Senna, who is not the best character, but she's cute.
We like Senna a lot. We're big Senna stans.
We like Senna a lot. We were very disappointed that she really doesn't do a damn thing in the story.
I kind of figured that was going to be her character, though. Like, she just has that, I think that, like, she suffers from Tales of design, where she is a character that's got a really cool look, but I know just looking at you that the writers had fucking nothing for you.
Oh.
Everybody has, like, a main, like, I'm not sure what they were called, Ascension Quest or something, even though that term isn't in the game. I don't know why people started calling it that. So it's like side story Senna is, like, not actually focused on her.
No.
But like it really is like focused on these two other characters. It's really funny.
Oh, that's trash.
She's just watching them the whole time, and then kind of has a few lines of dialogue at the end. I was like, but it's also I would say one of the better things in the whole game. So it was also like, why isn't this main story quest? Like, there are moments where it's like the side stories become better than main story content. It was. That one in particular is weird, because it's like, oh, this really, really should have been part of the main story. There's even like, I don't know. So combat is fine. One problem I had with the combat is that the chain attacks are too important and they take forever, and you see them a lot.
Yeah.
And this is the most damning part. They overwrite the boss music
Oh, God.
In every case except the final boss.
But
there's this one moment where they're playing this really sad, dramatic music for,
oh, no.
this really tragic boss fight, and then as soon as you press start to start the chain attack, dun, 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 it's like, oh, it just completely ruins the mood. And then it goes back to the sad music once it ends.
Oh,
I'm just like, and seeing that they had the sense to not do that during the final boss of all things, it's like, okay,
you could have done it earlier.
You really should have done it for like this one, like the song that plays in like one fight in the entire game.
Playing fighting Genova after Eris dies, and
then
you get the special limit break theme where it's like, yeah.
But imagine the limit break theme then lasting like 5 minutes, because these chain attacks are not short. If you're doing like 4 or 5 rounds, like they go on. Like the animations are nice, but I'm mashing controller buttons like, oh, there's just absolutely no way to skip, huh? Like attacks that are like significantly more extravagant than like Neptunia or Cold Steel's limit break stuff. So like min-maxing the combat is like getting good at chain attacks, like figuring out the math of those, which is like a system I liked in Xenoblade 2, but it's like takes a while. It's a lot of the combat in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think my main problem with the story, to wrap this up, was just it has its moments for sure. There's a moment like 2/3 of the way through that is like stunning, and it's like 2 hours long.
Oh,
and it's like a pretty big chunk of story that you can't back out of once you're in it. And you know, I'm crying at the end during these boss fights, and then the game loses momentum for like the last third until the ending. And then the ending fight is also amazing, which is good. But also, so the last boss took me like about an hour and a half, and apparently you can die in it. And there's one part that's a bit of a gotcha that people are definitely dying on. And when I saw it happen, I went, oh shit, like I have to pay attention. Well, that's the problem. It's like, it's not even like I have to pay attention here. It's like my party setup is either going to get through this or not. Because the combat kind of always felt like playing itself.
Yeah.
So luckily, even though I was like 3 levels under the final boss, the only enemy in the whole game that I was under leveled for, I managed to win. I was like, yes, that felt perfect for me and me only. Because I've seen a lot of people bitching about that fight.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people don't like the actual ending, where I was like, well, given everything, I thought the ending was like 10 out of 10, you know? It's just the whole story conceptually felt very flawed to me.
Weird.
Where like, I don't think this was the intention, but it almost feels like one of those sequels that is like giving you a middle finger of what fans wanted.
Oh.
Like the way they were like, oh, it's a sequel to 1 and 2, and then double middle finger. Just kidding. Not in the way you think it is.
That's a weird vibe to get accidentally. I
don't know how you accidentally stumble into that. I do know that like there was a lot of disappointment that XC2 was not a direct sequel to XC1. I do know that people were very pissed when Future Connected didn't directly tie into or lead into XC3.
Oh God!
So
that would have been wild.
I mean, there could maybe be something like that there, but I don't know. That like John said, it's a very weird thing to hit on accidentally, though.
I think it's just the direction they chose was so weird and out of left field that I think just a lot of people are going to be disappointed, even if it.
Well, I liked Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I know a lot of people didn't like that shit. So maybe we'll see. Yeah, you included, so we'll see.
Yeah. My favorite thing has been Xenoblade 3 reigniting some Xenoblade 2 discourse.
Ooh.
I got Xenoblade 2 discourse. I got it. It's bad. That's my Xenoblade 2 Discord. I fucking hate playing that game.
I'm almost of the mind now. I was like, seeing my reaction to this one is like, oh, maybe don't play Xenoblade 2 before this one because then you'll be more disappointed. But I might be crazy. I don't know. People do seem to like this game, but there's just so many little things about the world that I felt didn't have the explanation they needed for a 100-hour game.
I feel that like any Nintendo exclusive is always going to kind of get like a 10% bump in hype just because, hey, it's a thing we have that other people don't. So I'm going to say I love it and it's the best thing anyway.
I think Xenoblade fans are a bit crazy though.
And Xenoblade fans are crazy.
Like hyper fans will hyper love something, they will also hyper hate something if it's not what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that is the way of fandom online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go look at the Falcom fandom.
Oh, Christ. Like, there's a lot of discourse about what the DLC for this one will be because there's going to be like a Torna style expansion.
Yeah.
And people are like desperate for it to be an epilogue and not a prequel.
And not a prequel, yeah. I was
because they're disappointed in the ending. And it's like, well,
man.
Don't know how that's going to work.
And we won't know until like late 2023, I think.
Yeah.
This is a long ways away.
On the menu, the timer is like literally like it'll be out before December 31st, 2023. Like they are giving themselves time.
Yeah.
And then they announce swimsuits, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Okay, you got me. Let's do it.
And I don't know why they decided to nerf Senna like that. She does not show Tommy in the swimsuit.
Got literal worst swimsuit. Hey, Uni got it, nailed it. Mio got it.
Yeah. It's frustrating because Uni was already the most popular fan art wise.
That really shocked me. I was really shocked that she ended up being the one everybody gravitated toward.
Yeah. So now she gets a massive buff from the swimsuit. And Senna, the least popular,
dumpstered on
with the worst swimsuit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really bad. Like for a character, like Senna is a very sexy character design. All right, just straight up like default design, sexy as hell. And then look at the swimsuit
in the game. She shows tummy.
And then look at her swimsuit. It's what the fuck. The worst. It's the worst. Why would you do this?
I remember getting a Shion swimsuit in Xenosaga and then accidentally capturing the most expression. Just posted in the chat again. There.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a real. Oh God.
I screenshotted it. And
it's so perfect. It's so perfect. She just
looks disgusted with me.
All right.
Xenosaga was good. I'm glad. I'm excited for more Xenoblade. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be jumping around, and I think that's helping mitigate like maybe disappointment or like exhaustion.
Sure,
yeah. There
definitely was a bit of exhaustion at the very start of like, oh, it's this combat system again, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Yeah, I can take a little break, I think.
Because I didn't play Future Connected, but I did play Torna, which was a lot of grinding. Side quest stuff.
And thankfully that's it. Like Future Connect is literally only like 12 hours. So that's the only good thing about it is that it's fucking short and it's done.
So good that they didn't make that essential to understanding Xenoblade 3.
Yeah.
Because it was, a $60 remaster.
Yeah.
So
thanks for running through all that. I feel like that gives a
nailed it.
Like, there's a whole lot to react to in a 100-hour game.
Yeah. It's very tricky.
And without spoiling it.
Without talking specific story stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. As soon as I beat the game, I just jacked it down to easy difficulty and then fought like a level 90 super boss. It was like, okay. Even though I'm like 20 levels below this thing, this feels actually like a fair fight.
Right.
Finally, a challenge.
Oh no, the final boss was definitely the scariest.
Cool.
When you're an hour in and then something happens that you're like, I might die. I might die for real.
They added a checkpoint to that, I believe.
They did? I thought for sure. Because there's a point halfway through the battle, which is 45 minutes in, where I leveled up. Mm-hmm. So it was clearly saying like, hey, phase 1 has ended. Here's phase 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought for sure there was a checkpoint there, and apparently there wasn't.
I
Which
think
is
they
insane.
added one. I think they added one with the latest patch they did. I think I read something about that. So maybe.
I'll check
I don't know.
later.
I might have just like read that as I wish they had, maybe.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
but I've not played it yet,
sense.
so I've just kind of been trying to, mental hole all of that and not see it.
Yeah. Because if I died on the second phase and it restarted the whole thing, I would have gone to bed.
Yeah.
Like I would have turned the game off and not played it for like 2 days.
Yeah.
That's how I finished Xenoblade 1. So I got near the end of the boss and then fucking died. I was like, well,
but does it make you
This is
refight everything in the first part?
yeah, Rhett.
Oh wait, it does. Are they just always
Rhett, you have to fight the boss outside
Yeah.
to the final area. You have to fight all the bosses in the area leading up to the final boss, and then you have to fight all the phases of the final boss.
Yeah,
that's basically what they did here again.
You get
that's
dumped
crazy
back to the start of the final area, and you've got to make that run again. It's pretty awful.
That's crazy.
So
they put you back.
It's pretty fucking great.
Yeah, they do.
What I was gonna say.
They do say this is the point of no return. So everything after that, Christ.
Yep. And you can't save, and it's not. You can't save after the boss. So.
Oh my god.
So
they're just like this.
It's Xeno, man.
Yeah.
They're all like this. Every single Xeno.
They're looking at the reaction of this one and be like,
hours.
Pussies. I can't believe we always do this. We make the whole game super easy, and then you die one time. Oh, a 45-minute boss fight. Have to restart.
Well, that's the thing with Gears and Saga and Blade 1 is that I died constantly the whole game.
Yeah. So, John,
games. Yeah.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I played a little RPG Maker game. I played Chorus, Lost Princess, and the Spring.
Hey, might have heard of this.
Yep. I just really like this one. So first off, again, Tom made this. It's Tom's new RPG Maker game. It is not explicit. It's a little bit spicy at points, but it's not explicit like the first Chorus is. It is a full 3-hour-long RPG, and he made it in a month and a half, which is disgusting. which is so offensive to me. It's so hard. It's so.
I was really stunned by Tom releasing this and finishing Xenoblade 3 before me. I was like, wait, what?
It is so it's a full ass. It's just a full ass like mini RPG. It's got like a bunch of dungeons. It has multiple Ys final dungeons. It's nuts. It goes so hard, and it's a month and a half.
That's crazy.
So it's a single character RPG. So you're just playing as Chorus. And it actually has a lot of like little cute things to kind of still give you a bunch of options. The main kind of mechanic is that every enemy has different weaknesses, and Chorus has access to magic. And then Chorus can also change what weapon she's using. She can have a sword, a dagger, a staff, and a bow equipped. And you can just cycle through press left or right on the attack button, and it changes what weapon you're attacking with.
Nice.
That also affects like your speed and even like your spell casting. So like even if you want to make sure that you go before the enemy, like I would switch to the dagger and use that instead. It's really cute. And then all the enemies have like elemental weaknesses too. And a big thing for me is it just has a really nice snappy XP curve where like you keep getting to bosses of the area. If you get to the boss of the area and then it's hard and then it beats you, and it's like, all right, I'll just do one or two more levels. It really kind of nails that ease level curve in a way that I found really satisfying. So like by the end of it, I was like, okay, I know I'm at the end. I'm a get one more level up. Just let's run in circles for 3 minutes and get one more level up. You can go into the menus and change like tweak battle animations and whatnot. You can make it real fast.
For the eventual speed runs.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. It's very funny. There's a world map, but like you leave like 10 minutes in, or you leave like maybe like 15 minutes in, and then the rest of the game is like extended dungeon gauntlet. It's really
No.
cute. I just thought this was real fun. I really like again, the final dungeons were real neat. The maps themselves are gorgeous. They're big. They're like big beefy maps. I think that they pace like I think if you're not like already a fan of like retro RPGs, the dungeons might be a little too big for you. For me, it felt like perfect. It was just coming off of like Phantasy Star 4 earlier this year. I was like, yes, give me this nice chunky map. It's funny. There's a lot of good jokes and characters. I guess if I have any complaints, it's sort of similar with Silas, where like generally optional stuff in our RPGs can feel weird to me, and specifically like post game stuff.
Yeah,
because there's like an optional boss in this game that's as hard as the final boss. And that kind of pacing just kind of feels weird to me because I beat the final boss. I was very sad. I had a very satisfying ending, and then I was like, well, I guess I should go back and do that one little side dungeon. And for like a 3-hour game, that feels kind of weird to me.
Get dunked on, nerd. Make better games next time.
So that's my one nitpick. Otherwise, I think that this is just, and I know that's something that a lot of people really like. Tom says, "Jouch." So I fucking love this. I thought it was really really cute. And it's really cute because it starts with Chorus like walking down a path playing the really jaunty little theme. And then at the very end of the adventure, it shows her walking back down the path and the same theme starts playing. And it's just like onward to the next adventure. And I remember just sitting there like, yes.
Yeah, that's how you do that.
I want another Chorus adventure. I love this. I'm very excited at the idea of more Chorus. But yeah, I think the two Chorus games are my favorite Tom games so far. I'm just having a really good time with them. And also the cover art by Sayara of the new one is just gorgeous. It's Chorus like looking out over like a Dharm tower overhang at a blue sky, and it just makes me happy.
Yeah.
I think there's one other thing I'd love to talk about. I watched Shin Godzilla.
What?
Oh.
All right. Yeah, I saw you talking about this.
So this is the Hideaki Anno.
Yeah, this is that one.
Yeah.
Godzilla movie from 2016. It came out 2 years after the Gareth Edwards Godzilla movie, which I saw in theaters and I did not like.
Yeah.
Did any of you catch that one?
Nope.
I did, and was like, yeah, it was fine. And I did not see the sequels.
Yeah, I haven't seen the sequels. Gareth Edwards is not in charge of the sequels. See, Gareth Edwards did Godzilla, and then he did Rogue One, which I also hated. And then also, people went fucking nuts about Godzilla and Rogue One on release. I felt like a fucking space alien because they're so boring. They're so boring, and you don't give a shit about anybody. You give a shit about Bryan Cranston in the first one.
Yeah. The worst.
Yeah.
I heard people really don't like the sequel to this or that Godzilla, like the King of the Monsters one, I think it's called, even though it has an insanely good trailer. I was like hyped to see it. And then I never did. And then people were like, oh, it's horrifically boring. But it's like, well, did you like the previous one?
Yeah, I haven't watched the other Western one since. Maybe someday. What made me really happy is I watched Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
And this is Anno at just height of his powers, making Godzilla as fucking scary as possible.
That sounds cool.
That sounds like a really hard thing to do, given how I feel kiddified Godzilla has been over the years, over just kind of becoming this big, like, oh, it's this big beloved thing, and he's kind of a joke now. So making that terrifying seems like a really hard task.
There's some tweaks with the design. There's a handful of cool. The design is really fucking cool.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the design and like the really short arms and like the really tiny beady eyes. It's definitely freaky looking. I want to see the movie soon. I'm going to pick it up on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But like the design changes are definitely striking.
Yeah, exactly. And those aren't the only like striking visuals in the movie.
I would hope not.
Yeah. They do a lot. So this is kind of the same idea as the original Godzilla, where it's not like Godzilla fights a monster. It is just Godzilla shows up in Tokyo and it sucks ass, and every minute's really awful, and it's just the worst. And it's about humans trying to survive and fight Godzilla. And I think the big like kind of thematic and character hook here is just that a huge focus is like scathingly on bureaucracy. Like the first 20 minutes of the movie is like jumping between a bunch of different boardrooms as people just like argue and pass the buck and are just like, well, we can't do that. We need this department to rubber stamp this document in order to do this.
Oh, God. It's just the most insufferable human beings.
Yep. You have one character that's just like, to me, the Godzilla problem. You have one character that's just like rubbing his temples like, oh, can we just fucking do something? Can we just fucking do something? Jesus Christ.
Feel like that's the audience surrogate.
Yeah, but like it's still extremely entertaining because it's very funny. And it's very well edited. It's like these scenes are like 20 seconds long, where it's like bureaucratic, couple bureaucracy jokes, jump to the next scene, couple bureaucracy jokes, jump to the next scene, awful destruction, back to the bureaucracy, and then there's like an arc and evolution as they like slowly move their way towards maybe actually doing something. You see people like, they're not like cartoon characters. They want to help, but they're still like so stuck in their world that they can't just like push for that kind of action. And then when you see the people that kind of push through all that nonsense and like actually start coming up with a plan, and then the stakes are extremely intense, it's just really well done. So I just had a fucking blast with it. I know some people complained that it was like really talky. For me, that was just delightful because it's talky, but it's very funny, and there's good jokes and there's characters you care about.
I think like Anno can do talky.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of Ava DNA. They straight up play the drum.
Of course, yes. Yeah, they like, you've got to. Why not? Get it in there.
It's so funny because that theme, I think, is ripped off from James Bond.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Co-directed by the special effects guy from the 90s Gamera trilogy. God, I really want to watch the first one. Like literally the first Gamera from the 90s, because literally like 15 years ago, I read a Roger Ebert review where he compared it with Air Force One, the boring Harrison Ford movie, and was like, when you're a younger adult, you tend to look at a movie like Gamera and say that it's stupid and bad because it has a giant and implausible because it has a giant turtle flying through space. And then you look at a movie like Air Force One, and you're like, obviously the president can take down a whole airplane of terrorists just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you grow older and wiser, and you realize that that both movies are stupid, but the turtle movie is stupid in a joyous way.
Yeah, joyously stupid will always win my heart.
So that one Ebert review is so formative for me, and it always made me want to watch that movie.
Did Gamera start out as like self-aware kind of parody?
I mean, it's a very old franchise. Like I know the 90s one was like a revival.
Yeah.
So
it's not even the okay.
So I followed that up the next day. I watched like a couple days later. I rewatched the original Godzilla. It had been just ages.
Oh God, yeah,
it's real good.
Yeah, the original
original is still really good.
Jeez.
Yeah, 1954.
Yeah, I watched
Jeez.
that with some friends probably 2 years ago and remembered, yeah, you know what? This still fucking hits. This is still
Yeah,
good.
it fucking rules. It's got some fucking teeth.
Yeah, surprisingly.
There's a scene where a mom is like holding her 2 children saying, "We're going to be with daddy soon."
Oh, it's real rough, man.
Oh.
Well, you gotta remember how that shit was originally allegory for like nuclear bombs. So
I mean, it's 55.
It has
it's not
such
that
a
far removed.
it has such a different context back then. So like that scene that John was specifically playing, it's like that's truly fucking terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm. Like literally ends with a scientist like looking at the camera and being like, "If we continue testing A bombs and H bombs, then we will face more Godzillas in the future."
Yep.
It's like this. It cuts it. Like it's on the nose, but it cuts to the bone, and it's also incredibly well made. Like when they first introduced Godzilla, like full view, they do it with like these shots where he's trampling forward, and then they have all these humans in the foreground who are running away, just like going really far out of their way to make you believe in the scale, even as it's just a rubber suit. Like there's a bunch of great miniature work. It's just gorgeously made.
Yeah. Nice.
So I always kind of looked at this world from afar for a while. I kept wanting to push forward and like maybe rewatch Mothra versus Godzilla. Because I remember liking that one. I remember thinking it was cute. It's very good.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of the James Rolfe reviews of Godzilla. There's just so many.
Yeah, that's kind of like where, and it's just like, you know, that like after a certain point you start hitting bad Godzilla and it stays there for a long time.
It is kind of weird thinking about how this thing that was commentary on nuclear weapons turned into a parody of itself pretty quickly.
Yeah. It got popular. It got marketable. It's very RoboCop-y in that way, where RoboCop was like satire on, you know, like the society and the way police and all of that shit, and it's just like, and then suddenly it's like, oh hey, here's kids' toys.
Cartoon and an NES game. You know, they were very smart to make that NES game to get that license.
Right.
I like the cheese one too. I definitely like the cheese ones too. I had like a couple bad 60s, 70s ones as a kid. And I remember them capturing my imagination. It was the Megalon one with Jet Jaguar and then the Sea Lobster one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I literally went back and Googled like Cinemassacre Godzilla. I watched those 12 years ago. And then I looked up and like adult James Rolfe has a 20-minute video, Beginner's Guide to Godzilla. And I watched it. I was like, oh, okay. So it's from like 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, literally 15 years later. And I'm still getting Godzilla tips from Rolfe. It was nice because he's such a dad now. He just like talks in those videos, he's just talking like very kind of, he's always like, obviously loves movies and loves weird old campy movies. And just listening to that is fun. So yeah, I have a nice little playlist of like 5 movies, and I can go through that, and then if I feel like going deeper, I can, but otherwise I can just get a little more because I like this whole universe.
Yeah.
All right, so Polly.
Yo!
What are you up to?
Hey! Hi! I played a video game.
You did?
Oh boy.
I played 22 hours of Tales of Arise.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about fucking Tales of Arise.
Oh boy.
I'm not talking about that video game. I watched anime.
Oh jeez. The shortest segment in Sockscast history.
Come on, Polly. Come on. You gotta give us some of that juice. 22 hours. Tell us.
I played 22 hours of Tales of Arise, and I got to the 4th major area of the game. I still cannot tell you a single fucking thing about either of its 2 main characters.
Oh, God.
I don't know why the main character is an amnesiac. And I still don't know why the main lady has thorns when people touch her, so nobody can touch her. I don't know why the game has just saw fit to sidestep ever acknowledging that I need answers to any of this. It's just, hey, big evil villain is doing a comically bad racism. Let's go stop them. Then we go stop them. All right, there's another guy over here doing a cartoonishly bad racism. Let's go stop him. And I've done that 3 times, and it's just, that's all I've done. I've met one worthwhile character through this whole ordeal. And even then, she isn't, like she isn't really written or coded the way that they say she is.
Is she the Senna?
It's Renwell. She's the mage girl.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be like a 13-year-old girl who's kind of inexperienced in the world, but she seems like she's got her head on the most of anybody and just speaks. She speaks pretty authoritatively in these adult conversations, and I can't, like, it's like, no, you are not a child. You are literally an adult. They just aged you down because anime game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just kind of got to a point with Tales of Arise where you're not giving me anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, you got this really fun combat system that feels like it's got the most teeth that any Tales of game has had in a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, I have to avoid damage because if I don't, I get hit like a fucking truck. It had fantastic boss fights for a while that were fine. I got tired of the AI. It started making me mad because then it would just be like, oh, hey, enemies charging up for big attack. Everybody, please get out of... Oh, no, okay, I just lost 3 characters there. That's okay. Also, all of my resources are severely limited in this game. So by the time I get to the end of the next dungeon, my AI teammates, despite being told to use my healing spells, had used up all of my items instead. And I didn't have money to rebuy all the items, so I just said, I don't think I'm gonna be playing this anymore.
Oh my god.
That was my journey with Tales of Arise. It's just kind of like, man, you're giving me nothing. And like if there was something there, if there was a morsel to this story, that they would give anything, but they just don't even acknowledge or talk about it at all. You've given me nothing on these 2 main characters who are literally on the front of the box. I am in control of these 2 characters within the first 20 minutes of the game. And I was like 22 hours in and I still know nothing about them. And I just got so tired of it.
Literally no that's bizarre
nothing.
Sounding.
No, like not even like having a little powwow sitting around. Hey guys, let's talk about our past where we just overcame this great big thing. Maybe it's time we all open up a little as a party to trust one another. Nah, we ain't doing that. We don't have time to talk about our pasts apparently. It's just so cold and just like distant, and I'm just like you're giving me nothing. I can take a bad story if you're at least giving me something, but this game is just nothing. Just like, here's cartoonishly bad racism, go stop it. Okay, do it again. All right, do it again.
I'm still trying to figure out, I'm trying to remember what, the hook was in Vesperia.
What, I can remember Berseria. I can remember Berseria.
Yeah, I was about to mention that one.
I can remember so many things about Berseria. That game, so memorable. Lots of fun characters. Great character moments. Great character interactions. Great skits. That game's fun. There's a lot of good stuff there. And then you play Arise, and it's just like, it feels like this game is gorgeous. It looks incredible. And I feel it like they spent 6 years making this game look incredible, and then somebody came in and was like, all right, guys, we got to release this game next year, so let's go ahead and knock that story out, huh?
Uh-oh.
That's kind of what it feels like to me.
Yeah. It's really weird because Berseria starts with 3 or 4 hours of story setup where you're not really doing a whole lot gameplay-wise.
Yeah. And I still think it's just way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just like, I can't buy into that anymore. It's just like, I'm not going to, like, if you're not going to give me anything and I've already put this much time in, what am I playing more for?
Yeah, no story plus the combat kind of falling off.
Yeah,
with
like
AI,
the combat starts.
It.
Yeah, like my AI teammates just stopped doing the thing that I told them to do that they've done fine all the way up until now. But like when I got to this new dungeon, suddenly we're not going to use healing spells anymore for no discern. Like I even like turned off all of their other spells. Like,
oh my god!
Please do, and like put it to literally, if anybody has lost 1% HP, cast a healing art. Nothing.
You broke it.
I broke it or something, or the game's stupid. I don't know. Anyway, Tales of Arise is just like, yeah, whatever. I'm just whatever on it.
I was so close to buying this one because you were high on it at the very start because of the combat.
The combat feels like, oh, hey, this feels very Ys inspired.
Yeah,
like it feels real
that
nice.
First boss, I was like, "Ooh, this does look crunchy."
Yeah, the first boss is just, oh my god, it's so good. And then just the game just drives right the fuck off a cliff.
Oof.
Weird. Tales of Unwise to play this game.
Tales of Unwise to play Tales of Arise.
I'm my meanness moves in like cycles where like I feel spite towards like a big series that wronged me.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah.
As Kingdom Hearts has wronged me, as Suikoden has wronged me, as Tales has wronged me. And then as time goes on, I like my ability to be a hater saps with time.
Right.
So now I'm going to, as I'm wronged repeatedly, it grows in strength.
Right.
The cycle takes longer, but always eventually I'm like, I should try another Tales game maybe. So
I'll send you a Rise.
No. I'm willing to give Berseria another chance.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like the one because of the story that people are like the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the story and characters in that game are really the big point. Like the combat is, hey, kind of whatever. I get it.
Yeah, that's where it did lose me initially.
But I really like that cast of characters and I really like that story.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just like, I think Berseria and I think Abyss, because that's the one that actually has like a story hook where I'm like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
You're about something. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Like I think Symphonia
like
probably
Berseria's
still holds up to some degree.
Oh yeah,
I had fun with that video game. It was good.
I had fun with that video game on the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
I think you recommended to me. It was that long ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah. Anyway, that's Tales of Arise. Whatever. Let's talk about stuff Rhett likes. Rhett likes anime. You like anime.
So when you kept bouncing off games, I said to John, Polly needs to watch some fucking anime. And then you actually did without me saying anything.
It fucking happened. It happened, baby. I watched a lot of anime.
Oh boy. Give it to me.
I watched The Devil is a Part-Timer.
Nice.
I watched that with Ghosty. Ghosty suggested that one. And like that was sort of where my anime thing was like, hey, maybe I want to watch anime for a while. She's the one that was kind of like, hey, let's just watch some anime. Because she and I have been watching Breaking Bad, and like that's something I suggested, but that's like a big thing. And I was like, hey, just throw me some shows you want to watch. And that was the first one she did. And I was like, you know what? This is a show that's not typically in my wheelhouse. I will 100% admit that. It is a reverse isekai where characters who are from this magical world get pulled into the real world, and it is quite literally like Satan works at fucking McDonald's.
The characters are like literally called like the Demon Lord and the Hero.
The Demon Lord and the Hero. He is literally Satan. And they get pulled to the real world. She ends up working as like a data entry person, and he's working at McDonald's, and he's super into it. Like, he's just like, no, like, dude, if I work like 2 more weeks at this pace, I'll be assistant fucking manager, dude. And it's like, for some reason, it just worked. Like, this was just light and fluffy. The characters were fun. The interactions were fun. It gets decently serious when it needs to. It has to have, you got to have a big climax before the end. And obviously, like, the ending is kind of unsatisfying because it's this big, sprawling, fucking light novel adaptation. So, it's not going to have anything conclusive. But I had a really good time with it. It's not like next level blowing my mind or anything. It's like solid 7 out of 10, dude. I'll give you that. That was fun. I like these characters.
You just want good vibes.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just want like a nice little 12 episode comedy.
Like it was just
really vibe with that.
It was a nice slice of pie or a nice piece of cake that was just like, this was really pleasant. I had a good time with this. It surprised me because it's typically not something I would watch on my own. So being prompted by somebody who was really high on it, taking her advice and just sitting there and just kind of like, I'm actually sitting here like enjoying this. I'm laughing at this. I'm having a good time. There we go. Let's check out that anime backlog. I know that there were some shows that I didn't watch last year and the year before, but we'll get to that. I did watch something else. I think Brett maybe has seen this one.
Oh boy, here we go.
I watched Hoseki no Kuni.
Oh, you did?
Land of the Lustrous.
Oh, this is the really pretty one.
Yeah. Rhett, I'm pretty sure
so
he
cool
talked
looking.
about this. Oh my God. Breathtaking.
Oh, there's beautiful crystal envies getting broken apart.
This,
John is horny for this one.
Yes, this show, I would say, this is very, very horny. Even for me, I found some, like, you know what? I'm into this. I'm okay with this. This is nice.
The fan art of them is a lot.
It's a whole. I've seen some. I've got a few, and I'm just like, you know what? Fucking good shit, man. I watched this over the last couple days.
Nice.
But yeah, like this is a show that takes place in a world where humans have been like seemingly eradicated by a bunch of meteors that struck the planet, and the only living things remaining are crystal people, and they're also hunted by creatures from the moon who want to shatter them and turn them into jewelry and decorations, I guess.
It's basically Steven Universe.
It's basically Steven Universe. So like all the gems live and like they train together with this guy named Master Congo, who seems to be like, I don't know what his deal is, because even by the end of the show, I still don't know what his deal is. He's not a gem, I don't think.
Yeah, I was also like
is he a human?
He's just a human, right?
Like
he just seems like a human.
Yeah, and we really don't understand anything about him by the end of the show, unfortunately, which really bugs me.
That was kind of my main problem with this, is that by the end it's like, no story really felt like it happened.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's that, like they all live together, they train, they fend off attacks from the Lunarians, they all have like specific jobs and partners, and, like they all, so you got a nice home and a structure, they all, like for all this, it's a good setup, but the story's focus is on phosphophylate, which we're just going to shorten to Phos.
Like the show does.
Yes, like the show does, because no, we're not saying any of these fucking names,
the names
more than once.
Are wild.
Yeah, they're like literal mineral names are the character names. But she is kind of like, I believe, like, she's the youngest at 300 years old, and also like one of the most fragile gems whose bodies can just like shatters all the time. So she's always like losing body parts or needing to have cracks touched up but just like real simple impacts. So she's like not very suited for combat, despite that being like what she wants to do. And this is a show that sort of presents a lot of questions as to like the nature of the world and why things are the way they are. And there's certainly a lot of questions to be asked about Congo, but we don't get any of that shit. This is for the most part, this is literally Phos's coming of age story, really. That's really like as far as we get at the end. And I can see that maybe kind of being frustrating to watch, because as a character, Phos is very selfish. She's lazy. She's self-centered and just alarmingly allergic to effort. Just amazingly. And they spend a lot of time like being a complete burden to those around them. Actively making situations worse and far more dangerous for everyone. And for a long time, like, Phos is never punished or learns much of anything from it. And in some cases, like, the plot even just rewards her with plot armor and super cool abilities, you know, that I sometimes don't really feel earned. So the show's basically 12 episodes of her adventure toward finding a purpose, stumbling and falling upwards until they manage to stumble into plot armor. And to its credit, I did find that journey to still be, like, wildly entertaining and fun to watch, because even at Foss's worst, Foss still has a lot of charm and personality. Just an amazingly fun character to watch. Also, voice actress that voices Foss. Holy shit, she's so good.
Okay, I have to drop this right now. That is the same voice actress as the main character Kumiko in Sound Euphonium.
Oh, wow.
I love her.
That's why she's so good.
She's got so much of she adds a range to this character that I did not think that this character would have.
She does the exact same thing in Sound Euphonium.
Yeah, I know. Kumiko's performance in Sound Euphonium is fucking stellar, because she's just like so
expressive.
Yeah, so expressive, but in such quiet ways. Like she can make
it's very subtle.
so
like just like Foss's like her performance as Foss. There's so many ways you can play this character that I feel most people would play is like a Genki girl type. But like there's a lot of subtlety and nuance to the way she uses her voice, or the way she enunciates certain things, or the way she can like often feel weirdly detached from a scene because she doesn't quite understand the concept of death when it's being explained. It's just like those kinds of moments for her were just like incredible for me, because I just like listening to her talk, and it surprised me. It surprised me how well that performance came off. I was not expecting that kind of performance from that character, especially given where they start. And, you know, like I said, she seems like this kind of like bratty, kind of lazy, self-centered character, but there's a lot of nuance there, even if there's not a lot of writing nuance to her. The performance that she gives this character. I'm trying to be careful because I know all these characters are non-binary, so I'm not. I don't want to say she in reference to the character. But it's very, 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 very affecting, and I liked this character a lot. Even by the end, when I wasn't kind of getting what I wanted out of this story, like, you know, like with the whole Lunarians, like we never learned anything about them. We don't know anything. Like we didn't get any, and like there's never going to be a second season of this, unfortunately. Like it just didn't hit.
The manga has been running for like 10 years and still isn't over.
Yeah.
And this is the studio. The reason there's never going to be a sequel is because they went on to do Beastars.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which was a huge hit for them. But then they've done like 3 seasons of that. So
yeah, that's going to be their thing. But hey, like we were talking earlier about them visuals, right? Incredible, like we've talked about the character designs, a lot of minute details, and how they reflect their real world gym counterparts. Like the environments are ridiculously detailed and full of life, despite being set in like what's essentially a pretty lifeless world. Like it's just everything is just so gorgeous. And it's like, it's a mix of 2D and 3D CG. And it never looks like out of place. There's no like bad looking compositing. There's no weird off model stuff. Like when they make the switch to 3D, it's very smooth. So like episode 10 in particular, is a big highlight of how they're able to use the camera, where you have this character who's being like chased around and hunted down by this huge grotesque monster, and she is in full-on stealth mode, trying to like hide from it. Like she's hiding behind pillars and walls and ducking in and out of things, and the camera is just super dynamic and panning around the room, and her movements, and it like gets claustrophobic up on her when it needs to make you really feel that intensity. And that same kind of like dynamics with the camera is also used during all of like the action scenes, and the action scenes are fucking incredible in this show. Good.
That's the main thing that stuck with me, is the way they can use the camera
Yeah.
to play with 3D space in a way just other anime just cannot.
That scene, like, I was already impressed with their ability to use the camera, like in like these fast cut actions, like just so many cool shots. But like, it was this stealth sequence where you're just kind of watching a character slip around walls, and just like the way you can take that camera around and like put her and the beat or put them and the monster on screen at the same time, and then just kind of like change the perspective. It's one of my favorite segments in the whole show. It was just like I had to rewind it and watch it again because it was just that impressive.
In general, people were like, "Oh, I guess CG animated anime can be good because of the show."
Yeah.
Like, it changed a lot of minds because a lot of CG stuff is super low budget, like Netflix trash, and then this came out, and people were like, "Holy fuck!" They're just on a completely different level, kind of like the Arc system works. Kind of fighting games, like it's not that kind of.
This was entirely, like I said, it's entirely seamless. You cannot tell when they're changing to 3D models and when they're doing
See, I honestly
2D.
thought the trick was just using the 3D models the entire time.
No, it's a mixture of 2D and 3D. So they're making the switches, and it's just you don't notice it.
Yeah, because I literally never noticed it. I thought it was 3D the whole time.
Yeah, it's just even if this show is a disappointment from the standpoint of like, oh, it's an adaptation. There's not a lot of closure here at all.
There's no closure.
There's no closure. Like you like even the thing that Phos sets out to do and makes her main mission, you don't really get a good climax or solution to that. Like, she does end up being in a place that is very different from where she started. So that does, you do kind of complete the coming of age story in a way, but I would have kind of really liked to have seen her actually make good on the promise to Cinnabar. In some way that felt a little more than what it ended up being. Makes me wish for the days like, guys, come on, let's do anime original endings, please. Like especially for shows, we're kind of probably not gonna get that second season nod.
I think this one in particular, you'd have to have like a whole second season just to do an anime original ending, because they just don't answer anything at all
about the world. Like, and like I said, I wanted that so much, and I was just so disappointed. Like, that it's like kind of like
that's why I haven't really ever recommended the show, because it is so compromised by there's not really much story here. It's just a very fun visual treat.
It is a treat.
Pretty.
Yeah, it is very pretty. Like, absolutely. If you like watching cute NBs get smashed to bits and put back together again.
Are you talking to John?
I'm talking to John and me. It's very well done. They smashed to pieces real good.
Good.
Yeah, Land of the Lustrous. I think it's like, if you just kind of want a visual feast and you want to enjoy that, and you want to enjoy some really good voice acting performances and some great action, Hosuke no Kuni / Land of the Lustrous is your ticket to that set good time.
Can I back up a little bit?
No. Yes, you can.
Real quick.
You can.
So
you can.
Okay, so you watched The Devil is a Part-Timer. That came out in 2013. Did you know there's a second season airing right now?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, it literally airing like 12 years
shocked.
ago. Literally airing like 10 to 12 years after the fact.
Yeah. But apparently people don't like the sequel as much.
Yeah, it sounds like they fucked up the tone. It sounds like the character designs are probably way too moe, and it sounds
it's just
like,
kind of wild getting a sequel.
Yeah.
9 years later.
Yeah. It sounds like it's something everybody wanted, and then when they got it, it's like, no, did the same production studio do both seasons?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's probably that's probably the explanation there. Kind of like when you get Madhouse to do Gunslinger Girl season 1, and then Il Teatrino is like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. 5-minute break?
Sure. Okay.
All right, we'll be back in 5 or so minutes. And all that jazz. Wah! Wah! You miss me? I'm back. Also, hi, Maury. How's it going? You caught us in the middle of a break with our pants down, literally, because people probably use this break to go to the bathroom. So, literally,
I sure did.
There you go. Rhett Witt took the biggest steaming dump he could in literally like 3 minutes. Didn't even wipe. Just like, look, I got a fucking podcast to do. Ass time waits.
This is why in the business we call them idle meetings.
Got me on my damn podcast talking about anime, Rhett. Hope you're fucking happy.
I am. I didn't even know you watched Land of the Lustrous. That one caught me off guard.
I watched it.
And then specifically calling out the voice actors, I'm like, fucking dropping this knowledge bomb right here. Because I had told John, who watched Sound Euphonium, hey, Land of the Lustrous girl is voiced by...
that may be like I know Rena has long been sort of a standard for me in terms of voiceover performances, because I think that she just does that role in a way that is really incredible.
Yeah.
This really shocked me with how fucking much nuance she adds to a character that I think could have been a little boring. That's interesting. And I don't know whether that's just good direction or good acting instincts.
I feel like it probably is a lot of her doing it, the actress, because it's so identical to how I remember Sound Euphonium being.
Like, it almost makes me want to look at Sound Euphonium at least.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I know it's also just a bunch of bad Yuri baiting, and I'm just like...
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go. I've seen clips of Kumiko voice compilations, but it's just her making extra sounds like, yeah. Like the way she just kind of mutters dismays.
Yeah, little ad-libs. Things like that. She does
that constantly.
Interesting.
It gives her so much character.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is really... And you don't see or hear a lot of that in anime voice acting, I don't think. Because they kind of just gotta like get the script and you just kind of gotta stick to it. But like having those little room for ad-libs there, usually not something you find in anime a lot. At least I don't.
Yeah.
The amount of character she can put into a just speaking volumes.
There's a little bit of that in Land of the Lustrous as well. A little bit. Probably not as much, because it sounds like that's like a character trait in Sound Euphonium, whereas this is just kind of like probably just kind of her musing into the mic between lines, and it just kind of worked. All right. So, John. Yeah, I'm switching it up.
Switching it up. That's fine.
Yeah, John.
Fine.
Finished an RPG.
Another one.
Yeah, let's do this now.
All right.
I finished Dona, the Alisoft game.
Oh yeah, you did.
This is the one I talked about last week. That's part RPG and part like sex trafficking sim. It's a 18+ adult game. I really, really, really had a good time.
Hey, content warning.
How many good times?
I mean, content warning that I'm going to talk kind of obliquely about it. But yeah, it's like it is a porn game full of very grody non-con. But yeah, like last time, I think I had like kind of an arc with this one where I was like, there's a dungeon crawler and then there's the porn game part.
Yeah, it sounded like you wanted one of these elements to kind of just go away.
I kind of just stopped feeling that way. Like over the last, I don't know if I just got tired of it and I just needed a break, and I came back to it and I was like the story pulls the two elements together like perfectly well. Like it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And even like thematically, I feel like it ties it all together very nicely. I think more what I was kind of had an issue with is like, there's just so much content in this game.
Like games that have a shit ton of stuff can sometimes be a little overwhelming.
I think my playtime was like 35 hours or so. But there's just way more sex scenes than in Eventical or even Rants.
That sounds like a good thing.
Well, in Eventical, there's like a new sex scene like every 45 minutes or so. Biologically, that works out very nicely.
Yeah.
You have the sex scene, and then you move on to the dungeon crawler, and it's fun.
Right.
And then you play dungeon, and you have some story, and then right when you're ready for it, there's another.
Have some sex.
Yeah,
as a treat.
And they're short; they're like 5 minutes long. It's nice. It's
about how long I look at John, and I'm like, yeah, it's a 5 minute. Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm telling on myself. It's porn. It's different. That's not.
I know. I'm just being funny.
Than that. It is very funny. Dona. It's just like there's a scene. They're longer than 5 minutes, John. Okay. Well, they feel like 5 minutes in comparison to Dona scenes. Maybe Dona scenes are the same length and they just feel longer because there's so many of them. There's a gallery where you can go back and watch old scenes, and there's like 100 slots on it.
Oh my god!
Like 100 sex.
I've played a lot. Look, I've played my fair share of H games in my life, and I think that at most they tend to have like maybe like 5 to 10 scenes total over the course of like the 20 to 30 hour runtime, maybe.
Mm-hmm. That is not true of Alicesoft.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like, hey, man.
Still had like 50 or something. And rants are just they come hard and fast.
That's how you want it. You're hard and fast.
Yep. But like I don't know. Like I'd be cute. I'd be like sitting down. And I'm like, okay, I want to level up my characters in the dungeon crawler, and they'll have 3 arrow events with all the different party members, and then I'll have a heroine. A unique heroine character in the trafficking part of the game who has 2 more events I want to get through. And then I'll have, I've got 3 more heroines I want to go through and get all their events. And like, it's just, that is so much of the game relative to Eventical and Rants, where it feels just a little bit more like a porn delivery system than it does like a fleshed out adventure.
I don't know why porn delivery system just fucking slayed me right there.
One of the old Alicesoft games was like Dream Delivery System. Which they name all the chapter Dream Program System. Okay. They name all the chapters after old Alicesoft games. It's very funny.
Oh, great. Okay.
Dream Program System. Thank you, Zelas. The other expert here. But like the overall story is still really cool. You're in a town and you're rebelling against, basically a corporation owns the town. They basically have created the currency. Everyone works for them. They are the de facto government of the town. They own mercenaries that police and have rules, and all the schools teach about how great this corporation is. And it basically feels like an Amazon stand-in. Only like exaggerated dystopia where you're in the town owned by Amazon.
Right.
Fucking rules. So the whole plot is basically playing out as you are the rebels fighting against this big Shinra Corp. And there's like rival gangs that who are also fighting against them. Also, all of them getting money by trafficking. So that's part of the rivalry. So like you have all these different conflicts with the rival gangs, and then the other forces kind of there's a lot of different political forces like banging against each other in big neon RPG battles.
Banging in the porn game.
And then in the climax, there's a lot of like there's some cool. Y'all can't just do this with
yes, we
word.
can, baby. Try and fucking stop me. It's my show.
Fair enough. Good point. There's like a couple cool character twists. Like the one character that I love all the main 10 characters are all great. And I'm just every RPG I play now, I'm like, oh man, I love this cast so much more than Final Fantasy IX. They're one character that I was like, they're not really doing a lot with you, huh? and then he's the one that has the big twist at the end, and then it fleshes him out in a really cool way. And there's a beefy like 3 dungeon gauntlet. The game's also extremely hard.
That was really
extremely
surprising.
hard.
Just like Red.
But like you're incentivized to pay attention to all the systems, bring them all together, level up your characters, get lots of money. Getting money is hard and important. The economy never goes like completely insane. It all ties together as just like a game experience. And an RPG experience, it all ties together very nicely. And the final boss, I grinded for like an extra hour and a half before the final dungeon because I heard it was balls hard on the CG guide I was looking at.
This sounds this sounds like the Dojiniest Dojin dungeon crawler. Like, I've played dungeon crawlers that aren't porn related that just like this has that same vibe to it, of like where it's a little unbalanced and kind of unfair, but you deal with it.
It was hard in a way that I really liked because I grinded for like an hour and a half, and then I like thoroughly won. I thoroughly won the grinded. Fuck. I thoroughly won the ending. So it's not like Saga hard or anything. It's just like you actually do have to grind a little bit at times.
Yeah.
Or the bosses will.
That's fine. I just accept that I accept that with dungeon crawlers. I'm fine with it.
The presentation is gorgeous. The fighting is really fun. Just nice math puzzle fighting. This is the same team that did Rance 1, which the Rance 1 2013 remake, which also had fighting I really liked. It's just slick as hell throughout with the presentation.
I like the presentation. Everything I saw about this, I really liked it.
It's just
slick as hell.
Mm-hmm. Fuck. All right, I've got my big nice thing I want to say about it, my big mean thing I want to say about it.
Okay.
So I'm going to say the big nice thing first.
All right.
The theming really resonated with me in this game. Not on like an indulgent level to the same way as like Evenical and Rance, because just like Kuma, the main character, is just not as forceful or fun a personality as the main characters in Evenical and Rance.
Right.
But like fighting the big evil corporation that is just like doing awful, repugnant things, and then just like kind of just being the awful, repugnant gang themselves, there's something there. The one character that's gay, that's named, that is like gay, is also the character that is like comes from a home life where they were told to like put into this very specific box, and they escaped and joined like this rebel group basically to fight back against their old family and against the whole overall system. I think there's a sort of resonance to the idea of like, we're playing as the disgusting monsters and fighting against this absolute bullshit hypocritical system, and just owning like, we're as awful as you say, and we're still gonna beat the shit out of you. I don't know.
There's something that I get it. I understand. Yeah. I think that's hard to put into words. Yeah. And I get it. I know what you're going for.
Like being in a queer community online, the government and society and religion are constantly saying how awful everyone is and how we're disgusting and evil.
Yep.
So like, obviously, doing sex trafficking is very evil and bad.
Yes, it's like, obviously.
Not thinking about that literally, thinking it in terms of like playing this video game where you're just embodying like, we're the scum of the earth. Deal with it, fuckers. Like we're
gonna be scummier than you. but at least we may be a little more ethical about it.
It like there's something there that really appealed to me.
Right.
And that's why Donadon is the best queer representation since Darling.
Jesus.
So yeah, it's definitely evil. It's definitely gnarly. Like I said,
right.
This and Evanical have a lot more like child characters in the sex scenes than classic Rants ever did. That fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not great. Don't worry, they're 18, John. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So that sucks. It's still like great. It's definitely not like slanted towards that. There's still like way more adult looking characters.
I like that there's a character named Porno.
She's very funny.
She's my favorite character, and I don't know a thing about her, but I just was like, hey, that's my favorite character. Is your name Porno?
She's very good. She has some good story stuff later.
That's good. Like, I've looked at this game, and it's honestly one I almost kind of want to play.
Oh, God.
You might get me.
Of all the ones, that's so funny.
I know, right?
So I fucking, it's a joy to get running, to get bought off the store.
Right, it sounds like it.
But so that was the thing I really ultimately liked about it, was just like there's some stuff about like the very closing lines of like the subtitle, like, let's do bad things together.
Yeah.
One of the characters just like owning, yeah, I'm a bad girl now.
Yeah, I like that. I saw that. I was pretty impressed.
Yep. I don't know. And in a world where there's just so much, when the machine is so bullshitty.
Yeah, like I think that like this sounds like very fun in its own way.
Yeah. So the mean thing is just like, I don't think this quite has the same overall panache as some of the other Alisoft stuff from a storytelling perspective.
Evanical in particular seemed to have like the story stuff that you were looking for.
Yeah, it's just a fucking Trails game.
Yeah, like that's really the vibe I got from you talking about Evanical.
Mm-hmm. And this one is just like, it has a good final dungeon, it has a good final boss. It's got a final boss where you're finishing it and you're like, wait, was that the final boss? Oh, I guess it was. Instead of, oh my God, wait, that wasn't the final boss. There's another one.
Yeah.
I guess that was the end.
Oh.
And that's a little bit. It's still a very cool fight with a good theme, but like it was like coming off of Xenoblade and playing Xenoblade X, where like there's a lot of content. There's as much stuff to do as in any of these games, but then the actual narrative is like considerably smaller, and it doesn't really tie off all the threads. It feels a little bit like it's kind of arcing for a follow-up. It has a satisfying conclusion, but it's not that super satisfying. So where Evanical, I just felt so rewarded for having seen the ending is like 40 minutes. It's like 30 or 40 minutes in Evanical. This one's ending is like 5 or 6 minutes.
Like this or Evanical, I think are like the two games that like I think Rants may be a little too grody for me.
Yeah.
But this and Evanical, like they seem to kind of like I could probably slide into one of these.
Cool.
Slide into one of these.
It's not fun if you do it on purpose. John genuinely wasn't. So.
I don't know. I think I'm still pretty funny. Right, it's my show, and I get to say that I'm funny. So if I say I'm funny, I'm fucking funny. All right?
Got some laughing in the chat.
There you go. We got people laughing in the chat. People know what the fucking deal is.
I'm not sure the density of growth. I don't know how the density of growdiness compares, because there's still a lot of growdiness in both Evanical and
I know there
Evanical
is.
still seems like a lot.
There's still like I look at both games. I'm like, you know what? There's some characters there I could do. You know, that's fine. I can play around with that a little bit.
I have the Donna CGs open right now. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
1,600 images and the list of tags I can't read on this podcast.
I remember you saying that you'd looked at the gallery, and then I got to some CGs later on.
There
where I
was a CG I saw. I literally almost fell out of my chair laughing so hard.
I need to find out what that one was, because I didn't.
Think Minecraft.
Oh my god, I saw that one!
Yeah, I saw that. I went and looked up the CGs for this game and thinking, yeah, horny. Okay, good. Let's go. Getting it. She's doing her thing. Fucking Minecraft girl. What? I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that. I'm not fucking exaggerating.
Okay, that scene is very good.
I'll put it in chat. I actually saved it.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna put not in my Twitch chat. Sorry, Twitch chat. You'll just have to trust me on this one. But yeah, I saved it. I saved it because it's fucking died laughing.
Yep. This one's just very. The characters are all so fucking fun, I think.
Go look. There you go. Rhett, go look.
But I am speechless. That's not what VR looks like to me.
She wants you to put on the VR headset during sex.
I'm sorry, internet. I'm sorry, chat. I'm sorry, people that are only listening to the audio portion of a show. But this is just one of those things where you're just gonna have to go look at the hentai gallery for Dona, and
oh boy, and get ready for
some shit. But the image that I just saw,
you might reflect poorly on me.
Well, actually, you don't have to get ready for some shit because defecation is the one thing not in the tags.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Got a porn game and no defecation.
Thank God.
Thank Christ.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. I think it would still. I don't think it would quite crack my top 3.
Okay.
But I
was wondering where Game of the Year was going to land this time. Still up in the air.
I think Evenical has a stronger concept.
Oh, yeah. But that was last year.
Yeah.
I love the running the brothel premise, just systems wise, and that was where I got a lot of the fun out of the game.
Yeah.
As like a narrative, the premise of I want to marry, I want to become a knight so I can marry as many beautiful girls is just very compelling. And I think with Dona, like the premise of like fighting Shinra doesn't really have that clean tie to the porn game theming the way that Evenicals does.
Right.
Where it just ties the dream polycule quest directly into the overall quest very nicely. Alisoft is great. It'll be fun to see. I guess now I can finally get back to Trails to Azure.
Oh wow, it's about time.
I thought you were gonna say Rand.
Well, that's the thing, is that I was staring down. I can do Rant 6, I can do Evenical 2, or I can do Dona. And I had to follow my heart. But now I'm just like, now I can do Rant 6, or I can do Evenical 2. Oh. RPGs are so good, y'all. Rhett, what else have you been up to?
I watched some anime.
Ah!
No more RPGs.
Anime. You didn't talk about that on this show.
I actually played a couple RPGs, so I didn't talk about it immediately. Obviously, because of Xenoblade and starting Trails of Cold Steel 4, I haven't been watching as many anime.
Oh, wow. You're starving over here.
But I watched a couple shows I just want to mention real quick. I've been watching, I don't want to completely ruin the name of this, Joe Shiraku. The English title is Rakugo Girls. Mm-hmm. This is a comedy about girls who are like, basically, it's kind of a Japanese version of stand-up comedy, like Rakugo, where you kneel on a stage and like do a conversation between two characters.
Yeah.
They don't really do that in the show, though. It just starts, like every episode just starts with them ending a segment and like they get like 5 claps.
Like an episode of Seinfeld where they always got like a little bit of the stand up at the start and the end.
This show really kind of reminds me of Seinfeld in a weird way because it is just
interesting.
Because it is about these girls who are essentially comedians, and then each episode they go backstage and they just have conversations that get wild.
I just had the worst idea.
Oh, it's
no.
this show.
Anime girl George Costanza.
I'm going to type that one into Google.
No. That's a pretty bad idea, Polly, I will say. So this show, I think explaining comedy is really hard to do. So I'm just going to say I really like this show. I think it's very funny. It's also very Japanese a lot of the time.
Okay, I was going to say, is it like anime Japanese funny, or is it funny, or is it like more recognizable toward like an English like, is this like an English speaker kind of funny, or is it like you kind of need to be in that culture to kind of get it?
It definitely goes back and forth. There's episodes, like each episode is like 3 chapters, like very distinctly like, okay, we're doing this segment now. Like each episode says like part 1, part 2, part 3. Usually the middle one is extremely Japanese focused, either like location name puns or like just word punning in general. A lot of that does admittedly go over my head. The localization does its best. And I think the localization is like the Sentai subtitles. They are doing the best they can with some complex Japanese word puns.
Yeah, like Japanese comedy is ridiculously hard to localize. Like, kudos to them for even taking on something like this, because that is a nightmare project.
So I feel a lot of the time it's very much not translating what they say, but the intent of what they say.
Yeah.
But then because the show will have visual gags, they still have to be
you have to kind of like still tie it back.
The pun still like the answer to this pun still has to be a dog, because we show a dog on screen at the same time. Like, so there's a lot of like finagling to get things to work, and some of it doesn't really, but a lot of the humor is still just like completely absurd, relatable stuff that isn't super steeped in Japanese culture or wordplay.
The clip you played was you posted was very good.
The way it just, there's an episode where one of the girls keeps falling asleep and everything she mutters in her sleep comes true. And it just escalates to them becoming idols, becoming brides to an Arabian prince, a bunch of other stuff like 6 minutes prior that I didn't show, where it's just like the build up. And then at the end they go, "This is all a dream, isn't it?" And they just fucking disappear.
Fucking shit.
That was the moment where I'm like, this is, what the hell? This was kind of a masterpiece. Like, I just didn't see that coming. I wish they had gone further with that joke and just not had the ending with them in it. Like, just have either the song play with no vocals or just not have the animation of them in the ending. Like, that would have been so. There's one gag where one of the girls just gets forcefully graduated at the end of the episode.
Oh, no.
Like, again, these are supposedly like adult characters. They don't give ages, but they're, you know, comedians, so they're probably like 20s.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it cuts to like a high school graduation and they're sending her off and she's like, "Wait, what?" And then the episode just ends. And at the end, at the start of the next episode, it's just the 4 and not the one girl that graduated. So they go with that for like 5 minutes, and then she's outside the room like, "Let me in, bastards, I'm still here." So the reason I watch this show is because it has one of my favorite gags of all time, where it's the 40th of April. They just have a calendar that says April 40.
April 40.
And they're playing it totally straight. And watching the show, you realize the reason is because one of the girls gets seasonal depression during May. So to cheer her up, they act like it's April as long as they can.
April as long as they can. That's so good.
So then they start talking and they go in a big circle, and then they find out that kind of the one girl who's the punchline of all the jokes, she's the one that actually gets depressed during May. So it ends with them being like, "Today is May 45th." So they reversed it. They're making May last as long as they can to spite her. So I think that's a good summary of that show.
That's pretty good. This sounds like something I might check out. Yeah, I like this.
Also, I was kind of amazed because something about the speaking style and the comedy, it made me go, oh, this reminds me of Sayonara's Zetsubo Sensei.
Oh,
And then I looked,
wow.
and it's the same fucking author.
Okay, that makes sense.
But like, I haven't watched that show in like the last season was 2009.
Yeah.
It's been over a decade, and I fucking instantly picked up on that cadence, that writing style.
Like, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow, right after having the Orbital Children and Deno Coil connection pop out to me immediately. To have that happen again with another like decade gap, I was like, damn, I am a little too tuned into some of these.
we all gotta have a passion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are more shameful passions.
Another show I watched was called The Demon Girl Next Door. This is a very light comedy. It's the one I watched first, but then and I was like, oh, that was cute and kind of funny. And then I started watching Rakugo Girls and was like, oh, but this one's actually for real.
Funny. So like this is kind of like Devil is a part-timer level, huh?
Yeah, it was very much like there's more story. Like there's no story in Rakugo Girls.
Right.
Because it's just absurdity happening. This one is very much story focused, and that's what I latched onto. It's a 15-year-old girl wakes up, and all of a sudden she's got demon horns and a tail, and her mom is just like, "Oh, right, I never told you. We're part of the demon clan. Your powers have awakened.
That's some Teen Wolf shit."
We need you to collect the blood of a magical girl to revive our clan.
Good.
And so she immediately meets a magical girl and who is incredibly powerful. Like if you punch her, she just won't flinch at all. She's just like a rock. She holds up her arm and stops a truck.
Oh, okay.
But she's very chill. She knows about this, and the whole show is actually about them becoming friends.
Of course, yeah. I knew that there wasn't going to be an actual like pursuit here.
Okay, I think either my internet is dying or yours is.
I heard your robot. Your polyrobot.
Oh, we're roboting a little bit.
Okay.
I hear you now.
Well, it'll be fine on your recording.
Yeah, it's fine. We're good. You didn't robot at all. It's just I saw Twitch kind of go poop itself a little bit too. So we're fine now. We're green again. We're good. Yeah.
So the show is about them becoming friends and kind of trusting each other, and it's very Yuri adjacent. It was very good.
They don't make a hard commit, but they're
It's funny because it is very clearly season 1 is volumes 1 and 2 of the manga, and then season 2 is volumes 3 and 4. So the big emotional climax happens at the end of volume 3 in the middle of season 2. So then there's 6 episodes left where it just kind of fucks around for a bit.
Oh, okay.
And then it ends.
Of course. Because adaptations, of course.
Yeah. But I was glad I waited for 2 seasons to be out to get, because the end of season 2 is like all set up. So being able to just immediately start season 2 and was like, oh, okay, payoff. That's good too. Because there were like 2 years between the seasons, and it just immediately starts with the big recap because it's important what happened at the end of season 1.
That's funny.
And then I watched. Actually, I did these in backwards. This is a show I was watching during the August vacation, not August. Got my A's confused. I watched a classic anime, I guess, Nodame Cantabile.
Oh,
I might be.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
John's been waiting for this one. Huh?
The wifey walk one.
Yeah.
Yes. the wife.
The wife entered the wifey smile and then the wifey walk.
Nodame, the character, is great. She's the wifey.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot else good to say about this series by the end.
You see, this is great because I got to watch this whole journey play out. How many seasons of this are there, Rhett?
3.
How many volumes of manga are there?
Is it 15, I think?
Ooh.
How much of that did you read again?
The last 2.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no. It's 20. It's 25 volumes.
Oh my God!
You watched 3 seasons. Was there any specials or OVAs? Did you?
Oh, there's at least 4 total.
This
Okay.
is a 2007 anime, though. Like, 2007 was the banger year.
I thought for sure. So,
I'm
okay,
just
can
couching
I need
everything
to
you say.
hold on.
because
I need to close my window. It just started pouring out.
Uh-oh.
I'm couching everything Rhett says in the fact that A, I really want to watch and like the show. And B, any negative thing he says is couched in like a week and a half, in like 2 weeks, watching 3 seasons and a bunch of OVAs and reading the manga to finish it off.
So I was watching season 1 in the middle of my vacation, where I was, tackling like 5 things at once. And I thought, oh, this is pretty good, but it's like not a very marathonable show. Because it is kind of a light, easy-paced romantic comedy. So I put it on the back burner, and then I was watching it like before work, like 1 or 2 episodes a day, and it felt good in that way. And I sent John a few screen caps, and he seemed interested in it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny because like I recommend a lot of stuff, or most of the stuff I talk about on the podcast is like, I'm giving a thumbs up.
Yeah, like I would say, go watch this.
Yeah. Where the one show I'm like, this one's kind of mid. John is immediately like, ooh, I want to watch that. And at the time I said, oh, it's a romantic comedy. And even in the middle of season 1, when I said that, I was like, but it's kind of not. So I guess I haven't talked about story or characters at all. Sorry, I'm a little distracted right now because it suddenly started raining very hard outside.
It happens.
So all of a sudden there's this like loud noise.
Hitting that window hard, baby.
It is. So it's about season 1 is a music college, and there's a bunch of students, and the main character, Chiaki, he's just good at everything. He's a very perfect protagonist. He plays violin, he plays piano, but his real aspiration is that he wants to be a conductor. And like all the girls think he's super hot.
Which you can relate to. You can relate to.
Very sound euphonium.
See, I thought this is much more of a John style protagonist, like Sword Art Online or something. I didn't find him super compelling because he never felt like I think he also comes from a rich family. Like they're really just setting everything up for him to have no obstacles.
Right. It's literally the John protagonist.
Exactly.
So
I find these characters the most relatable.
Yeah.
Because I also go through life facing no obstacles.
So you may like him, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he meets this girl, Nodame, who is really good at piano, but she's like chaotic and rough with it. Like her tempo's all over the place. Her technical skills are really good, but like nobody can play with her because she's just wild, pure energy.
I like players like that, by the way. Like when I encounter people like that as players of any instrument, I really admire that kind of chaos and like not always being perfectly on beat.
So, things progress. They become pretty close. Season 1 at the music college has a lot of side characters that I thought were enjoyable. And then it really becomes much more about the music in the back half, where like Chiaki's kind of focusing on transitioning over to being a conductor, and she's, studying music more. And there's a lot of performances and like, oh, this is the big thing coming up for us. And it just kind of effortlessly glides past them happening without a lot of stakes ever feeling present.
Very different from sound euphonium.
Yeah. Because you're the one that made me realize that, where you said, oh, it's sound euphonium without the stakes. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of it, where everything just kind of happens. And then like, I think it is probably much more realistic, where like, it's not these hyper dramatic high school kids thinking the performance is like the life or death for them, where it's just like, yeah, this is the thing we're doing next week. We're practicing pretty hard, but it's not like the end of the world or anything,
But that's really fun to watch.
It's really fun. It's more fun to watch when the characters are really super hyper invested in it.
Yeah.
So I was like, the show's not bad enough to drop, but I'm not going to sprint through it. I'm just going to watch it at a leisurely pace. And then I did cry at the end because pretty big thing happens. And I was like, okay, I clearly still like this show. So let's watch season 2. So season 2, pulling up the mail page, was 1 year later, 2008. And story-wise, this season did a thing I didn't love, in that every character gets replaced besides the main two. Because the characters have now left Japan, they're in Paris.
Yeah. Ooh.
So the entire side cast changes.
I don't like that at all.
Like, I get why for the sake of the story, but having to introduce and build in a whole new cast was rough. And then it's 11 episodes plus however 1 or 2 OVAs, and it takes place over a year. So like, you're introducing new characters, and then the next episode is like 3 months later, and you're just like, oh, whiplash. Like, stuff's just, it felt at times like a Cliff Notes version of events. Because when these episodes are being set like months apart, like, again, it is stuff happening, the character's not really reacting super strongly to it, and then life moving on. So season 2, and it's funny, I've seen people say, oh, season 2 is the best one. And I'm like, this is where the show kind of started to lose me. So it just kind of comes and goes. And then there's season 3. Sequel. Season 3 is 2010. Oh, wait. Yeah, season 3 is 2010. So a thing happened in 2009 is that the manga ended.
Okay.
And season 3 got delayed into 2010. I think it was supposed to end, closer to 2009 and like late 2009. So they named season 3 Finale. It is the finale of the series. And it's much more a continuation of season 2 because they're still in Paris with that cast that I never grew to like as much as the original.
Right.
And the romance is still progressing at a fucking glacial pace. And then I found something out right before I finished it. And I was a little like, oh, okay. Is that people don't like the ending because the ending is bad. Like, usually with anime fans, a lot of the times when people online, I feel, don't like something, it's because something like, oh, it was insulting to the audience.
Or it didn't end the way they wanted it to.
Yeah. Like, if this show ended with them breaking up, I would have been fine with it because it would have been something happening. Like, there is a big arc that happens towards the end, but then it kind of resolves, and then the show just ends in a literally extremely weird spot. And I checked the manga, and that is where it ends. Just like in the middle of a performance.
What?
I kind of just laughed when the words like, because in the anime it's all has a bunch of flourish, like a ribbon comes up and the word fins comes up, and I'm just like, oh, no. You're just putting a bow on what feels like a regular scene and saying the saga that has gone for 3 seasons.
God,
this is it.
That feels so bad.
And then there's one like 8-minute OVA afterwards that is not a sequel at all. It's just like a comedy thing.
Oh,
so that
my God.
That didn't ease the pain at all. So I saw a lot of people saying did not like the ending at all. And I thought, oh man, I wish if I'd known that before watching 3 seasons, might have never invested in it to begin with.
That's a heavy fucking investment.
So that's not where this story ends.
Oh no.
Yeah, nope.
Oh no.
Because so I wasn't going to talk about it on the podcast, but the story gets so ridiculous. So I was like, well, this is just funny to talk about.
Okay.
So season 3 was conceptualized as airing in 2009. Oh, is it really 2009? God, that's so old.
Oh.
2009 with the end of the manga. And then it got pushed into 2010. In that, 6 to 9 month gap, the manga author was like, actually, what if I do a little bit more?
Uh-oh.
So they wrote 10 more chapters after the end of the anime. But the anime said, no, we're done. That was Finn.
Yeah.
So there's 2 volumes of the manga that aren't animated whatsoever.
Oh no.
So that's why, against my no manga policy,
Yeah, you went and watched. You went and read some manga.
I went and read some manga, and I'm not going to trash on it too much because I'm just not a manga reader. But obviously, the experience was significantly different going from, animation and voice acting and color
For a show that is about music.
For a show that's also about music. It's so funny in the manga when they just put the name of the piece they're playing.
That's weird.
So I'm going on YouTube to just play the song
and feel and read the panels.
So I will say the extra chapters known as like Opera Hen, they do one thing that I like is that the characters go back to Japan. So a lot of that initial cast comes back.
Right. Yeah, the good characters.
So it's like it did. So it's like, again, this was like a finale or a sequel that wasn't originally in the cards, where they just decided after ending the manga, and like the last 2 volumes originally got like a different manga name, like, oh, this is No Dame Cantabile Opera Hen, and it might have been in a different magazine as well. Like it was a sequel series, even though it ended up only being 2 volumes. So it felt more like a proper finale ending, and that was fine. And then in 2016, the author did one more one-shot chapter.
Oh my god.
So I thought the ending of Opera Hen into the 2010 sequel was fine. And then Opera Hen, or I'm getting the names mixed up, sorry, the one-shot into 2016, it felt more like finale, like it takes place like 5 years later, like a little bit of aftermath resolution. And then it ends in a way that people also still hate.
Oh, good. The author's really just knocking it out of the fucking park.
The author is as non-committal as Chiaki is.
Oh, God. Oh.
Just not the story people wanted from this. Again, this is actually a pretty beloved series. I'm sure a lot of people are fine with it, but I saw a decent number of didn't like the endings. And then which of the 3 endings you're talking about? Oh, that one. Yeah, I didn't like that one either. Because, it ended, and then it ended 2 volumes later, and then 5 years later, another chapter where for real ended. So they've had 3 shots at the ending.
Right.
And I'm not sure they've hit any of them.
Fucking shit, man.
This was a saga.
Thank you very much for sharing this with us, Rhett.
So Polly, what have you been up to?
Hey! I played a video game.
Bring us home, Polly.
I played a video game. I played 9 hours of Soul Hackers 2.
Ooh.
I don't want to talk about Soul Hackers 2 right now.
That's less than Trails of
I like Soul Hackers 2 so far. I like Ringo's legs a lot. Just saying.
There's always, as long as there's just a cute girl,
man,
you can kind of find some motivation.
Listen, fan artists, please. I need all the fan artists in the world to get me like the good shit. Like Ringo is incredible. Incredible design. Great looking girl. Look at those legs. Please, I want you to go look at those legs.
I've seen them.
They're very
long.
Ma'am, please.
A little bit of Land of the Lustrous energy, honestly.
Little bit, yeah. So, yeah. I'm liking Soul Hackers 2 so far. It's pretty dope.
Cool.
It's got a lot of that kind of like, oh, we're definitely taking some inspiration from our Persona design and stuff here. It's very stylish, but it is very also Shin Megami Tensei adjacent. Which it's funny because the original Soul Hackers was a Shin Megami Tensei game, but they removed that from the Soul Hackers 2 title.
Huh?
Just interesting, Just saying.
So you have not dropped this one?
No. I like this game a lot. I'm just not in the mood to play video games right now.
Yeah.
Like I played the 9 hours or so that I have played of Soul Hackers 2 so far. I'm digging it. I like it a lot. I like the setting. I like the characters. I think it's just really, really well done so far. So yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm just not. video game mood. I was kind of just throwing back to the first segment there. You know, just like, oh, I don't want to fucking talk about the video game because I'm going to talk about the anime. I'll talk about the anime that I watched.
Yes,
Ooh,
yes.
More anime.
More anime.
A double dose of me doing like anime segment. How wild is that? That doesn't happen very often.
So wild.
That does not happen very often. This was one that like came out like I saw the previews for last year and was like, oh, I want to watch that, but I am not watching that until it is done because they literally were like, hey, we're not finishing in our first core and then we're going to finish in our second core. Except we're not going to because we're going to have a lot of production issues and then we're not actually going to finish until March of 2022.
It was a full year for 26 or so episodes.
Yeah, they had a lot of production issues in the back half. Like the show basically became bi-weekly for a while and then they ran out of time slots. So they could not finish.
That last episode was like 3 months later.
Yeah, the last 2 episodes.
Oh, was it 2 episodes?
It was 2.
God.
2020, 22 and 23 were both this year in March. So, yeah, I watched 86. So, 86 is an anime based on a series of a bunch of light novels, which I know what you're saying. An anime based on a light novel in 2022? What? Who'd have thought? Anyway, this show is it basically centers on a war between the Republic of San Magnolia and the Giadian Empire that's been going for about 10 years or so. This is a war that is fought by seemingly autonomous machines of the Empire, and the Republic has their own unmanned war machines called Juggernauts, and those are controlled by a handler who operates them from like an operations room. This was kind of like a video game in a way, so they never see actual combat. And the good news is that the Republic gets to broadcast every day that due to the nature of, unmanned vehicles and autonomous robots, this war has sustained exactly no human casualties. Hooray! Uh-oh, asterisk time. Asterisk, big ol' asterisk, here we go. At the start of the war, the Republic funneled most of its citizens into 85 protective wards, except all of the people that don't have white hair and fair skin. The Republic did a big racism.
It's so on those.
So anyone that's not white-haired or fair-skinned was shipped to the 86th Ward beyond the walls to fight the Empire's Legion units. And since the Republic literally changed the definition of human being to describe only those with white hair and fair skin, any 86s that die don't actually count as human casualties.
You're not a human casualty if you're not human.
And that's the very grim setup for this series.
We are the monster rats.
And there's a lot more going into this. Like there's a whole side of what's going on, the Giadian side of things too. But I'll save that because you should watch the show and find out yourself, like what's going on over there. Because a lot of this stuff is real fun to watch, kind of play out in real time. At the beginning of the show, we take the point of view of one of the Republic's handlers. Again, she's the person who will watch over these quote-unquote unmanned units of the Republic. She is Lena, and she is assigned the command of the Spearhead unit, which is basically the unit that sees kind of like the worst of everything, like the most casualties, the most cruelty, just nearly everyone that's been in control of this unit, they either quit immediately or they commit suicide.
Oh.
Due to the realities that they have to face in doing so. Lena is different. She is a girl with a conscience. She's a girl with a lot of heart and a lot of conviction. She knows what the Republic is doing, and she will fucking tell anyone and everyone that will listen that, hey, those aren't unmanned units. We literally sent people there to be in those units, and they're dying every day. But it's so comically fucking racist that nobody in the Republic sees these people as people. And on the other side of the coin, we have the leader of the Spearhead unit. That's a character that I think most people in the show refer to as Shinigami or Reaper. His real name is Shinya. And he's like the best of the best. You know, he's fought in this war for like 4 years or so. He's survived this long. He's, you know, like he's taken it on as his duty to make sure that if anyone is left on the battlefield critically wounded, that he's the one that will put a final bullet in them so that they don't have to suffer, or they don't end up having their brains stolen and tossed into Legion units. Because that's another thing, is that like the Legion.
Thanks so much for the raid, Junkyard Dave.
Yes, thank you for the raid, Junkyard Dave. Just we're doing a podcast, so apologies I couldn't jump on that. By the way,
no problem.
But always welcome. Thank you so much, Junkyard Dave. Always a pleasure. But yeah, like when people die in the battlefield, or when they're critically wounded in the battlefield, it's imperative that we don't leave a body behind, especially one with a functioning brain, because all these autonomous units apparently steal brains and then adapt to human-like logic and use that against us. So we can't have that doing. So this guy takes it on his shoulders, and like he goes to those units and he kills them, and he takes a piece of their unit and brings it back and sort of creates like a makeshift dog tag. And he has this box of like 500 people he's had to do this for, and he carries it with him everywhere he goes, and that's kind of like the weight that dude carries. It's really rough. It's like, wow, okay, dude's got a lot going on. So the first half of the show, it does this wonderful kind of balancing act of bouncing back and forth between Lena and Shin's perspectives during like these same moments in conversations or during battles. And the director did some like amazing visual and audio work to sort of emphasize just how different these two viewpoints are, because like that's going to sort of be like what builds here. Lena, like, despite her place as being one of their oppressors, she does everything she can to like ensure that like the 86's safety. Even though like all of her superiors continue like reminding her like, oh, hey, like these are just expendable pigs. Like, what are you doing? Why do you care so much? You know, and it's awkward as shit. You know, but she manages to sort of build this functioning relationship with these characters that are under her command. And though they tell her, like, you know, like, you will never truly be one of us, you know, but there's this mutual respect that kind of gets built along the way that, like, feels really natural. Like, where, like, they're still like, look, like, we know we're still your tools of war, you know, but, like, the fact that you still see us as human, it does count as something, despite the fact that you're still one of our oppressors. You know, you're not changing much. Like and like this whole like first half of the show is full of amazing direction, where we constantly flash back and forth, like I said, between those two instances of like, you will hear this conversation or see this battle from his side, and then you'll see it from her side. And like one of my favorite directorial moments is like the first time she witnesses him having to put someone down in the battlefield. And I think it's really poignant because when he goes to do it and we see it from his side, he goes up, he puts his hand inside the unit, and we know he's going to pull the trigger, and it's completely silent. There's no audio at all. And we just see the muzzle flash, and that's it. But when we revisit that moment at the start of the next episode, we see it from her side, and we hear just like that ugly gun sound of like, it's just very visceral and ugly and to the point. And what I think that like the director was trying to show there is that like he's become so desensitized to this that it doesn't register for him anymore. But like when we see it from her side, it's this big poignant thing where the realities of what's going on here are just cemented in her brain, of what he has to do and what he's carrying. And
it's really cool.
And the first half of the show is so well put together. There's so many great moments where they use insert songs in really incredible ways. Episode 10 has this moment where we're seeing these moments flash by. It's just this constant stream of moments from like 6 or 7 months from a different perspective. And it's just like 5 or 6 straight minutes of these moments playing out that just like, it's very, very cool to see it in context. I think is one of my favorite. I think it's one of my favorite moments in an anime ever, where they're just kind of like, it's very Girls Last Tour-ish in a way. That's kind of the vibe I got from it anyway, where it's just like, oh, it's just this very kind of like very real, but also just very meaningful, very, very emotional kind of moment. And this sort of like happens after like sort of the first major climax of the show, and where the show starts taking a turn to being something entirely different.
Yeah.
Because once the show hits like its first major climax, it does become something different. Like the second half of the show, it takes a completely different dynamic. Whereas like the first half, we had this dynamic between Lena and Spearhead Unit. Like that, something else replaces that entirely. And I feel like it really had to, because while that back and forth with Spearhead and Lena, it's great. I think it makes a really good setup, and it's presenting a good viewpoint of like, hey, this person that's completely against this thing that she has to do, but she's still doing it. I feel like there's only so much you can do with that dynamic. Like, we know that she's very against this, and she wants these people to be seen as human, and she does everything in her power to treat them as such. But I feel that, like, this show has a very realistic and grounded look at how this stuff kind of works out. And in doing so, it knows that a story where Lena, who is, you know, just this white-haired, fair-skinned girl, single-handedly saves the Republic from racism, it would not work. It wouldn't work for a lot of reasons. You could write that story, but it would in no way be satisfying.
Yeah.
But it would probably get an Oscar.
Probably. So the second half of the show has to do something drastic and new. Yeah. And I think it makes that transition just fine, despite the fact that, like, the second half, it's absolutely wrought with production issues. Like, there's definitely a lot of, like the production is not as strong, the direction is not as strong. There's a lot more like off-model animation happening. There's like I said, this show became a bi-weekly show for a while because it ran into so many snags. It tones down on the action for much more of an interpersonal story. Like, we're looking more at the shit that Shinya's going through because he's like had this role thrust upon him as, you know, a Reaper, and like having to have put down so many people around him, and what that means for how how others view him, and how he views himself, and how he views people around him. Like, if he chooses to get close to them, what do they see him as? Like, is he just, you know, their Reaper of sorts? You know, is everybody destined to leave him behind? And it does a really good job of digging into that with him. And I really, really like that. But what I also really liked is this show, it introduces a fun new character named Frederica, who at first you think is just going to be your kind of typical bratty, like 10-year-old girl. And to a degree she is. That's how she's introduced. But due to her own circumstances, which get brought up very early, and the things that she's had to deal with, she sees a lot of herself in Spearhead Squad, and she sees a lot of herself in him, and ends up forming this very warm bond with Shin, especially, who at this point in the story, he needs like some kind of levity to his character, and she like is able to kind of provide this interesting warmth that, like, even though he's still very stuck in his ways, you can tell that she's making this gradual difference in him and kind of opening him up in a way that he may have not like felt before. And it's kind of a pretty straight shot to the end with this show, really. Like, there's not a lot of roller coaster reveals and twists. Like,
it definitely felt like a much more standard story.
Yeah,
in the second half.
Like, it's comparable to Attack on Titan, but without all of the weird twists and turns that Attack on Titan does, right? That's sort of the vibe I got, where it's just kind of like...
it's got military fighting against this impossibly weird and strong enemy, basically.
Yeah. And the story moves to its big climax, like with a final boss in a pretty predictable manner. Like there's a real good climax. You get like the incredible catharsis with like the entire final episode. I think that like that final boss fight is really, really good. And then you get that episode afterward where they start kind of reintroducing elements from the first half where and they give you a moment like that you've wanted to see for 22 episodes, and it feels really earned and emotional. So like I thought that like this, like despite the production issues that they ran into in that second half, I think they were able to kind of get this story across in a way that felt really true to what they were trying to do. And the story ends at a point where, despite the fact that there are like 10 more volumes of story after this, they end at a point where you can conceivably stop and go, okay, I know how the rest of that plays out.
It was funny looking at the forums and people being like, oh, this is where the story starts. I'm just like, yeah.
And to this
like,
story,
this was also...
Go ahead.
This is all set up for that one moment happening at the end.
And it's a real good moment.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, and I understand why some people would be disappointed with the second half. I understand because, like, Lena is a very strong and awesome and very cool character.
Yes, I liked her a lot.
I liked her so much from that first half. And she's just not in this second half a lot. And I understand why. It's like, when you watch the show, you understand why. There's not a lot of point to her. Like, I feel that they could have done her sort of like reintroduction early on in the season when we kind of catch up to what she's up to. I think they could have done that with a little more panache. I feel that it deserved a little more oomph, especially like with the new title that she's given. Like, I feel like, oh, like, you know, and like the changes that she's made to herself physically, it's like, oh, like, I feel they could have gone over that a little more and made that stick, you know, make that moment stick and land, and make you feel that. But I don't think that it in any way makes the show bad that she's not there, because like the shit that Shin's going through, and then the addition of Frederica and like what all of that means. And like watching like the rest of that squad kind of like be able to grow beyond and sort of become their own people. They do a really good job of balancing all of that. And it's just like, you know what, like you might actually get me to buy like volumes 4 and 5 of this to see like, okay, how does this go from here? Because I
definitely want to know where it goes from here.
Yeah, like like they leave you with enough. Like, they give you enough catharsis at the end of this show to where, like I said, I feel like you could stop here and you can feel like, okay, I got what I wanted, and I can probably imagine where this goes. Because I don't imagine this is going to get another season. I just kind of don't think that it's in the cards. But I'm willing to invest like $30 into a couple of more light novels and see like, okay, what do we do from here? Because we have that, like, we built up to this one big moment that we've wanted basically from the start, right? And they give us that at the end of the show, and it feels really good. What have you got beyond that? And I'm willing. I think I'm willing to like. I'm willing
dive,
to
jump into this world.
Yeah, like, and I like this world and these characters a lot. Like, I really was thoroughly like the show is one that I looked at and immediately said, "This is me, and I want to watch this in the most optimal way possible." So I am going to wait until it is done. And I'm happy that I did, because like sitting down and being able to like I binged the entire second half in one night.
Christ. I saw that was like, yep.
I did all 12 episodes in one night. Like, that was like, beautiful. I'm buying a pizza, I'm sitting down, and I'm just like, all right.
Fucking anime.
I'm watching a shit ton. I'm watching 6 hours of anime, and I had a real goddamn good time doing it. And like, this is a world and characters that are really interesting. Like, I think that I'm on board with seeing like, okay, like, where do you go from here? What do you have? Because it's obviously a story, I think, that could also fall into just like the Konosuba thing, where you find a comfort zone and you can make it kind of like, okay, we're just doing this thing because we found a rhythm. I think that this is a story that could easily lend itself to that, because it does sort of have that Attack on Titan deal of like, oh, hey, we could just like have all of these cool military like operations and like these big fights, right? But I'm more interested in what they would do character-wise, because these characters are very interesting. There's a lot of cool things that you could do with.
Didn't connect for me. I think, and it's weird because it was actually season 1 that distinctly lost me.
What? Wow, like that's the one that I thought had like the best direction, and just like,
it's not even that, it's just some of the story elements, and I don't even remember what they were. Like the Lena side, fine, perfect, loved it. That was the side I was totally invested in. There was just something about the 86 side and the way it was going so fast, and they were dropping all these bombshells, like what felt like they could have been bigger story revelations.
Especially like after the big thing where they kind of end up where they end up.
This was like episode 5 or 6, actually.
Oh, wow.
I forget what it was specifically. It might have been like the fact that the enemy robots are like taking people's brains, where the nature of the war that they're in was pushed to the point of, you are so fucking fucked territory. Like, it felt like it was just laying on the despair so thick.
I get that.
That I couldn't take it seriously anymore.
I understand that.
I just don't, because they are really fucked.
They are.
The reality.
They are like, yeah. and I think that like, I can like a lot of the time, like watching this, I had Attack on Titan kind of going through my head, and like, it's a similar, oh, you're fucking fucked situation. And I'm wondering like, what's different with Attack on Titan and this, like, because I feel that they're both very similarly staked. Like, the stakes are very similar.
I don't know what it was specifically. I think season 1 also in particular, I felt like on the 86 side, I didn't care when characters died because it was happening so fast.
Yeah, it does happen a lot.
And I think there's just a time skip towards the end where it's just like, oh yeah, everybody else.
Yeah.
All these gone now.
They trim it down. Like, there's a very clearly like a set of characters that are main characters that will go on to sort of define the rest of Spearhead Squad. So like and I think they make those first few deaths very meaningful, but afterwards it does kind of seem like, oh, like, okay, we snap back, and then like suddenly like there's 5 more people gone.
It was definitely like, oh, you're just speed running getting to the character cast that you actually want to write about.
That is
movie from Gareth Edwards that cuts away, that starts the fights and then cuts away.
That's basically what actually happens.
Yeah.
Really funny.
It is a big action scene.
Ugh.
They were like, oh no, that's not in the budget. Sorry.
Yeah. Like I said, back half of that show, there's some production issues.
I actually felt like it didn't really actually notice production issues.
I noticed a lot of animation issues and like with like there was definitely a lot of off model stuff happening.
Yeah, I tend to not notice off model for some reason.
Right, yeah. It's definitely like, yeah, it's definitely something that you will notice if you're looking out for it. But again, I think that the strength of the story is enough that like also it didn't bother me. It's just something that I noticed. Like I said, like this is something that I'm thoroughly happy with. I want to check it out beyond what is now available, you know, with regards to there just being this anime available. So, you know, I will probably be checking out the next couple volumes of the light novel because I want to know. Yeah. I want to know. Like, I think that there's a lot here. I think that they can do a lot of cool stuff with this overall story. I think that these characters are fascinating, and now that we've got like a main cast that we know will be sticking around, and you know,
hopefully,
yeah. Like the
series, it would be funny if like 10 pages into the next chapter they just kill somebody just keep you on your toes.
Keep
them guessing.
Yeah. See, I remember like firing up an episode of Attack on Titan once, and like literally 30 seconds in, somebody just gets fucking capped in the fucking head. Like, oh, okay.
Attack on Titan definitely keeps you guessing.
Yeah, you just never feel safe with anybody in that show.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's what I probably need to like rewatch before the final season goes.
Final season part 3.
Yeah, final season part 3.
Fucking unbelievable.
God. Yeah, 86 is dope. I liked this a lot.
Awesome. That rules, Polly.
Yeah. All right, so I think with that, we got ourselves a show.
I think we got ourselves a podcast.
I think we do.
Real Gilst.
Want to thank everybody for coming out as always. You're always so lovely. You're always so beautiful. How do you do it? You're just so amazing. Don't know how you pull it off so consistently all the time. Thank you for downloading, of course. Thank you for just always, you know, hanging out, like listening to what a bunch of dumbasses like us are here to say. And so while the internet, while Twitch decides that it wants to shit itself again, we'll go ahead and try to get ourselves out of here. John Thayer, tell the internet folks at home where they can find you.
On farawaytimes.itch.io, and I'm releasing a thing tomorrow.
Oh shit!
Tomorrow.
I wrote a girls' love fic about Chisato and Takina from Licorice Recoil because I kept seeing art of them on Twitter. I haven't seen the show, but someone told me that I got it very close.
Oh, so wow! Okay,
you should give it a lot. I made a bunch of original art for it, and there's music. It's a MIDI backed Web 1.0 site.
Oh my god!
It's a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Rhett!
My anime list, I don't know. Watch more anime. Watch more anime.
Just when you think you were getting away from all the anime, boom.
You know Polly?
Gonna be like, we're gonna have like John is just gonna have watched anime the next time. I will only have watched anime next time. Rhett will only have watched anime next time, and it's just gonna like Rhett's gonna finally have the hard on for the anime episode he's always wanted.
We did do it.
You posted one GIF from from Kaguya-sama, and I was like, is this another one? We're gonna talk about this in the podcast?
I thought it was.
Yep.
Wait, did I?
Yeah, you totally posted a GIF from
I posted that as a reaction to a thing that happened to me. That was not because that was a thing that I was watching. That was a thing that happened, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I had an actual, literal anime IRL girl reaction.
Anime girl reaction, and immediately got Kaguya-sama because it's the most popular show in the world.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was from. I was just like, "Oh hey, anime girl, nervous."
It's so good.
GIF.
Y'all.
Let's go. And you can find me at twitch.tv/polyhead, where I do a bunch of stupid VTuber stuff.
Where do you find that? Where do you find that site?
What site?
Where do you find that site? That twitch.tv site?
Twitch.tv/polyhead. That's where I'm at. That's
I
where
wanted
I'm
to
at.
spell it out quickly so that the people in the chat would know where to find it.
Right, yeah. Like, I'll be doing a birthday/streamerversary stream on the night of the 25th, a week from now, starting at 6 p.m. I'll be playing a bunch of games that are very special. You won't want to miss that. And I'll also be talking. I'll be pulling people on to talk to them. And I'll have like open slots. There's some people I'm scheduling to be on. But if you want to be on, I'll probably be able to have you on and talk to you. It'll be fun. Be good. We're going to start that at 6 p.m. on the night of the 25th. Because that's my VTuberversary. That'll be fun. So we're going to roll that together with my birthday. So we'll be doing that. So that's all I've got going on. So
oh my god, I just realized John is releasing a game on your birthday.
Yeah, he's releasing a game on my birthday.
Tomorrow.
Cool. Exactly. But hey, remember, as always, we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. And that's a show! Alright, let me see who's streaming and I'll get everybody out of here.
Boy, it's going to be sad. You can't say you're going to watch 86 soon.
I know! It's a real bummer.
Every time I talked about anime, you were like, oh yeah, and I plan on watching 86 soon, like 4 times.
Yeah, I've said that a lot. Yeah, but now I actually did it.
The day came, and it was a literal day.
And it was a literal day. Well, I watched season 1.
I know, season 1 actually was a bit, but then season 2 just
Season
boom.
2 was, I'm just doing this in one night. I don't know what even compelled me to do it. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
We're going to raid Sarah Spim. She's playing a video game. I don't know. Probably. That's probably what she's doing. Anyway.
I had a moment earlier today where I just burped very loudly into the phone.
It feels good. I like burping. Burping is awesome. Anyway. We're going to get out of here. Much love to y'all. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.